put out a tweet saying what's coming up on the show today. I just got all the Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios up, and it might be a minute before I can do that. Hi, good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Busy day ahead on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of GCR. Today's show is brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Use the code TAILGATE at ginsugrills.com. Save $100. Make sure you include in that rundown what Carson's going to be doing this morning. Very important. You'll save $100 when you pre-order your Ginsu Kamado Grill. Again, ginsugrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE. And, of course, this Sunday, Ravens back at home, and it's a night game. So, got a day's worth of tailgating ahead of you. Stop by the Game Day Firehouse. 1202 Ridgely Street, just west of the stadium at the Firefighters Union Hall. Sample the cooking from the Ginsu Kamado Grill and register to win your own Ginsu Kamado Grill, as well as $500 worth of grilling meats. A lot to do this morning. In a few minutes, Mike Golic is going to join us. He will be on the call Sunday night for Ravens Steelers on Westwood 1. We will preview that with him. Also this morning, our buddy Drew Forrester will check in with us, although apparently he will not be joining us in studio. So praise be to Allah, or whoever you'd like to praise. I'm all good with it. Also this morning, our friend Kevin Brown is going to join us. The Military Bowl is this afternoon in Annapolis, Duke in Central Florida. And the great Kevin Brown, of course, Orioles broadcaster, he will be on the call for ESPN on the Military Bowl. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk some Orioles as well with our guy Kevin Brown. All that coming up. Plus, young Carson Triweekly came in this morning. He is here. He's not died. He didn't quit because he found out that he had tied for the loss. Carson is not here, though. He stopped by. He said hello. And then we decided to send him back out to the store. And the reason why we decided to do that is for those that are following along, we had a side bet last week on picks. And Carson and I tied for last at 4 and 5 amongst the folks who were in on the side bet. Now, the bet itself was a Duke's Mayo Bath, like the winner of Maryland NC State will be taking on Friday. Maybe Mike Loxley, hopefully Mike Loxley. There's two problems there. One, the first being, we keep trying to figure out a way to practically do it as part of the show, and there's just no practical way to do it as part of the show. Like, it's just not going to work. And I've thought it through, thought about a bunch of different ideas. There's no way to make it work as part of the show. So in order to have the punishment be part of the show, I have decided I will still go ahead and take the Mayo Bath. And it'll be great news for my kids because my kids will be allowed to dump the mayonnaise on me. Look, if John Proctor wants to come be the one to dump the mayonnaise on me, by all means, message me, pal. We'll figure out a way. You can stop by the house and do it. We're going to do it out here on the sidewalk and then point the camera out there, but there's still going to be a mess out on the sidewalk, and we don't have like a hose to be able to clean it up. And, you know, we're in a business park. We share the space with other people. Like, it would not be appropriate for us to just leave mayonnaise sitting on the sidewalk. So it's just not going to work to do it as part of the show. It's a bad idea. But I'll still do it. I'm going to do it. And for the sake of show content, young Carson Triweekly is currently driving to the grocery store and purchasing a thing of Oreos, which he will bring back here to the studio. And by the way, should we double check to make sure that mayonnaise is still good that's in the fridge?
I'm sure it is. I can triple check.
Do you want to make sure that? So, because wasn't that like a couple months ago?
It's mayonnaise.
I know, but we just want to make sure. We have some Duke's mayonnaise here, so we thought the backup punishment that Carson could go with in order to have show content is that he would channel his own inner Mike Golic Jr., not the Mike Golic that will be joining us in a few minutes, but his inner Mike Golic Jr., and consume 6 Oreos this morning covered, right? He understands what we're covering. Yes? Is that what's
perfect? May 28th,
okay.
2023.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. Is there enough there for 6 Oreos to be covered in mayonnaise?
Oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
A little bit more than half the jar.
Make sure, smell that. Make sure it still smells. I don't really know what Duke's mayonnaise is supposed to smell like. I've never used Duke's mayonnaise. By the way, you good?
Smells like mayonnaise.
No company has ever got more bang for their buck in a bowl relationship. I mean, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl was pretty. I mean, that was come on, man. Like, that was pretty on point. But my God, has no company ever done better with a bowl sponsorship than Duke's Mayonnaise has done with the Mayonnaise Bowl and the way that they dump the mayonnaise. I don't really at this point know why it is that all bowl games aren't condiment sponsors. Like, why wouldn't Sweet Baby Ray's look at whatever they're doing with Duke's Mayonnaise and say to themselves, you know what? We might want to get in on that. We might want to consider whether or not that would be something that we'd be willing to do. Makes no sense to me. All right, so Carson will do that during the course of the show this morning. As soon as he gets back, he will consume 6 covered mayonnaise Oreos. Not just a little, like covered mayonnaise Oreos. And I will still do the mayo bath. That's the way it's going to go. All right, couple things at the top of the show before we get to our buddy Mike Golic. One, so the Luka Doncic thing is just nuts. I mean, it's just bonkers. It's going to pop up during Would You Rather Wednesday, presented by Glory Days Grill. We'll get to that. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. 60 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. What? And joins the following list of players who have accomplished that feat. No one. Holy hell. 60 point, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. That's just bonkers, man. It's just bonkers. And again, part of the reason we talk about this with sports all the time. The reason why you watch sports is because you just never know. Oh, and by the way, that alone, if they had won the game by 40, would still be the most amazing thing we've ever seen. It just so happens to be they needed every single one of them in order to win the game. This was the stat. It's funny because we had just dealt with the Pistons Clippers thing the night before. The stat from Tim McMahon, who's a Dallas writer for ESPN. NBA teams were 13,884 in the last 20 seasons when trailing by at least 9 with 35 or fewer seconds remaining. I mean, this is why you watch sports. This is why you're a fan, is because you just never know when you be watching something nondescript, or really last night, more like Twitter's telling you about something nondescript. And you say, oh, because nobody sat down last night, unless you're in New York or Dallas. Nobody sat down to watch the Knicks-Mavericks game. But the moment Twitter started talking about it, you said, maybe I should get over there. Maybe I should go ahead and take a look-see at that thing. Unbelievable. I mean, really unreal. Who was it that Aaron suggested? Somebody suggested last week to put in an MVP vote because I talk a lot about how MVP works. This might be the night that you said perhaps you slide that money over to Luka because narratives become significant. And when you have moments like this. Now, I screwed this up last year. Remember the game where John Morant had like the insane dunk and the wild three, and I said, might want to toss a couple bucks on John Morant. Yeah, that didn't work out so well.
It was Aaron said to put Kevin Durant NBA MVP.
And I get it.
Yeah,
I understand. I'm just wondering if maybe last night isn't the type of thing that ends up sort of holding over a little bit, and the type of thing that ends up being significant that we don't remember. Most people, the average person, does not remember what happened in an NBA game on any particular night. But when something extraordinary happens, it tends to stay with you a little bit and maybe ends up altering. For what it's worth, FanDuel, he's now the third favorite behind Jason Tatum and Giannis. He's at plus 440.
Pretty good. Pretty good value.
I might be willing to toss a couple of bucks on that. Just, why not, right? Like, why not? So that was incredible. Not incredible. Nathan Eovaldi now comes off the list, and it looks like the Orioles will be shut out in significant pitchers. Is there anybody that I'm forgetting about that's still out there that hasn't signed? I feel like we've gotten through the entirety of the list.
Syndergaard's not still out there, is he?
No, Syndergaard was gone a while ago. I'm pretty sure that was the last notable starting pitcher that was still available on the market. We'll double. Ooh, look at this, man. Did you buy more? No, you just got the mayonnaise from back. I was like, what are you doing? Hang on.
Just got the mayo from the back.
You just got the mayo from the back. We'll talk about that more in a second. Hang on a second. Is there anybody that's still out there? I am not really seeing anybody still out there, if I'm being honest with you.
David Price.
He already confirmed that he's not pitching this year?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Greinke?
So.
We talking free agent pitchers?
Yes.
Johnny Cueto.
Oh, is Johnny Cueto still available?
Yes. Still, I haven't seen him get signed yet.
I didn't realize
Unless
that.
it happened last night or this morning.
No.
We can put together like the best 2010 rotation with Greinke and Kluber and
Yeah.
and
you could-
Cueto.
you- oh, is,
That's right.
is Greinke still?
Yeah, Greinke's still
I
out.
don't know why it is that. I guess the problem is I had my list of guys that I was interested in. Eovaldi was.
Waka's still out there too.
I thought Waka signed.
Did
Michael Waka? I thought he
No,
signed.
yeah, he's still out there.
Really? I thought I saw him sign.
Dylan Bundy.
Oh man. I have some thoughts. All right, I guess. How about that?
Zach Davies.
It was Rich Hill who signed, not
yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Waka. Sorry, Rich Hill, who the Orioles have been connected to, signed with the Pirates, so he is off the list. He's also 43, but it's what it is. Look, man, I get it. Eovaldi was a guy that a lot of us sort of said, yeah, that would make some sense, and so, every time this happens, there's a bummer. I don't actually understand how this works. So I saw from Nathan Ruiz yesterday, and look, shame on me for not knowing this, and maybe I should have asked Nathan Ruiz the answer. So after the Eovaldi news, he tweeted out, oh, man, what did he tweet? He said, if the Orioles sign another starter this season, it won't cost them a draft pick. And I have to be honest with you, I don't even, I know the structure for football. I don't know what the structure is for baseball as far as signing free agents and the compensatory rounds of the draft. So, admittedly, it's possible that the Orioles wanted to wait until a certain number of pitchers had signed. I don't know how – honest to God, don't know what that is, and maybe I'm going to put Griffin on that assignment. Did you send out a tweet about the guests?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we got that. Your next assignment is try to figure out what that is, because I meant to do that last night after I saw this tweet, and I realized I completely forgot, just plumb forgot. And normally that would be an intern assignment, but Carson's got something far more important to do this morning. So that's going to have to default to you, pal. I'm sorry. It's just the way it's going to go.
Fair enough.
You get that assignment. You're the one that's got to look into why it is that there's a pitcher thing with compensatory or I don't know if it's just pitchers. I don't know what it is. I'm spitting also this morning. It's not
I
good.
think that if you lose a guy, not lose, but if you had a guy on a contract larger than $50 million and then he signs with another team in free agency, you get a compensation pick. And then if you have a guy from another team that you pick up for over $50 million, I think you lose a pick.
But that doesn't make sense, because then what would last night have to do with they could still give Johnny Cueto $50 million.
That's where you.
So why was Eovaldi the end of the line for guys that would cost picks? I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm assigning Griffin to get to the bottom of it. Might want to have a better man for the job, but I'm gonna trust.
I trust
Griffin. And he's going to figure it out.
I trust Griffin.
Final news item that was worth covering this morning, obviously, is the Ed Reed story, which is really quite wild. Ed Reed will be taking a head coaching job at Bethune-Cookman. I tell you what's funny is someone, I can't remember who it was, but they reshared that video of Ed Reed explaining the thing where he baited Peyton Manning into an interception by lining up at the wrong place on the field a couple years ago. And I remember somebody in local media saying, it feels like Ed should probably be coaching. Somebody should be giving Ed a bag to coach somewhere right now. And ironically, within a day or two, here he is taking the job at Bethune-Cookman. Makes some sense. He's a Florida guy. He had been down at Miami. Also, maybe seeing what Deion Sanders had done. To be clear, I don't think Ed Reed is Deion Sanders. I'm trying to say this in a nice way, from the salesman side of it. I think Deion Sanders is willing to do more of that because he spent his entire career doing more of that. Ed is not that guy. Ed's a fundraiser. He's been a charitable person. He's done those types of things. But just putting himself out there to do things like Deion Sanders doing a partnership with Barstool Sports, I don't see Ed being that guy. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe Ed's a different place in his life. But from the guy that I knew covering him, I don't see him doing that. To me, Ed's a football coach. He's a guy that loves, breathes, understands football, and that's the reason why I think it makes sense for Bethune-Cookman. And yes, the name value is significant as well for a place like that. I know my guy Cordell was pointing out, boy, I wonder why Morgan wasn't more involved with Ed Reed a year ago. Why wouldn't that have been the case when they ended up hiring Damon Wilson? And it's a fair thing to put out there. I don't know, what will prove to be the better hire. It's easy to just say, well, look at how Deion Sanders succeeded at Jackson State. Ed Reed's definitely going to do the same thing at Bethune-Cookman. I don't know nearly enough about Bethune-Cookman as a program to have any feel for what Ed Reed is going to be able to do as a coach. But I know that for a program like Bethune-Cookman, there's absolutely no reason not to try this. And for Ed Reed, the person, the football mind, the man's as close to about a football genius as we know. It makes all the sense in the world to want that dude to come down to that program and give it his best effort. I think it makes all the sense in the world. And, he's also been involved in coaching. Like, he was an assistant with the Bills. He was working on staff at Miami. It's not like the Jeff Saturday thing where you're just taking a player and saying, go give it your best shot. Like, Ed Reed has done the work as a coach to be in this opportunity. So, makes all the sense in the world to me for a program like Bethune-Cookman to give it a shot. If you're lamenting the fact that it's not Morgan State, I get it. I think Damon Wilson is a heck of a coach. I think he's going to have the opportunity to succeed there as much as anyone will have the opportunity to succeed. I understand why the idea of the name value and the branding that comes along with Ed Reed would be something that you would say, I think the guy can coach, and I think he could deliver even more for a school because of that name value, and that's why I'm disappointed that it's not him. Fine. I understand that. I know that's what our buddy Cordell was talking about yesterday. All right, now before we get to Mike Golic, we're going to channel our inner Mike Golic Jr. So Carson Triweekly is here. You bought the whole pack of Oreos. You didn't find the little guy.
That's right. You know what I thought about getting? You know those little Oreo dipping sticks that come with the cream? I thought that would have been funny.
The dipping sticks.
Yeah, they got Ritz ones and they got Oreo ones.
I'm not sure I'm familiar
with
this.
There's Ritz ones that are little mini Ritz that come with cheese dip, and there's little mini Oreo sticks that come with cream.
I'll be honest with you. This is you're kind of breaking news to me.
Really? That elementary school, those were a hit. Every if you had those in your lunch, it was a good day.
I'm gonna have to dive into it. It's on me.
They are really good.
So famously last year at the Mayonnaise Bowl, Mike Golic Jr. terrified the nation when we'll talk to Kevin Brown about this. Sometimes the bowl games you got to do a little bit more. The sponsors are the ones paying your tab, so you got to do a little bit for them. And for some reason, the decision was made to have him dip Oreos in mayonnaise. I disagree with that decision. By the way, get like a plate or something, because I want to make sure that we're not dripping mayonnaise on anything, all right? So I don't know why that was the decision that was made, but that was the decision that was made. It accomplished exactly what they wanted to accomplish. It went very viral. It got everybody talking about the Mayonnaise Bowl and mayonnaise and Oreos, and it became almost an international incident. Other countries said this is the reason why we hate you. In fairness, I don't disagree. So Carson and I tied. As I said at the top, I'm still going to take the mayo bath. It's just not going to be something we can do on the show. So in order to have some show content, we decided that Carson is going to pivot to the alternate punishment of 6 Oreos dipped in mayonnaise. And you're going to do the first one here now.
Okay.
I want to make sure we're clear. Like, this is not like a little bit of, like, you got to really get that Oreo in the mayonnaise.
Yeah, I also want to say that Golic described the Oreo mayonnaise combination as an interesting combination of flavors. And
by the way,
he would give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm going to bet that I would not agree with said. Now, if you end up being an Oreo mayonnaise guy, that's your call. This horrifies me. Like, the thought. Are you a mayonnaise fan to begin with?
I like it, but like when I tell you I only like a little bit on my sandwich, I only like a tiny bit.
Okay, so all right, so this should horrify you.
I don't like it to like I don't like right. I don't want to see it above the bread.
We have to call Mike Senior here in 1 second, so let's go ahead and do this. Right. This is gonna be number 1, and throughout the morning, Carson will be enjoying his mayonnaise Oreos with legitimate Duke's mayonnaise. That's straight shoot. That texture just is disturbing to look at.
It's also off a fork, so
it looks like more Oreo. Does it need Griffin? Does he need more? I feel like he might.
I got more than he even had on the broadcast.
I understand that, but I think for the sake of the punishment, it needs to be a little bit more. A little bit. I'm going to have a giant Dukes thing dumped on my head.
How about this?
All right, fine. We'll go with that. And then maybe the next one we go. So, bon appetit.
Salut.
Yeah, salud. Sure. Here's to swimming with bow-legged women. Yeah. How you feeling about it? I think he likes it. Oh, my God, I think he likes it.
It's terrible.
Oh, God. All right, well, that's good news. You have to do.
It's really terrible.
You have to do 5 more throughout the course of the morning. Describe it to me.
All right.
All right. Well, maybe after we talk.
It's terrible.
Right,
I'm
we'll
just
go
gonna
with
put
that.
it to you that way. It's
I'm
terrible.
good with that. I'm good with that. That'll continue throughout the course of the morning. Poor Carson trying to get through. Hey, did you prepare Young Utes for today?
I do have Young Utes.
All right. Well, we'll do Young Utes today as well. Look at that. Look at that. All right. Very good. Today's show is also brought to you by UMBC Basketball. Of course, the Retrievers have a massive game this Sunday. Now that we know Ravens Steelers is at night, great way to start your day. 1 o'clock over at the Peak. UMBC Vermont, a rematch of last year's America's East Championship game. There have been some legendary games between these teams over the years. Remember Jarris Lyles beating Vermont at the buzzer the year that UMBC went on to beat Virginia in the NCAA tournament. Get your tickets right now for Sunday to experience game day at the Peak, UMBC Vermont, by going to umbcretrievers.com. And then Sunday night, our next guest is going to be in Baltimore working Ravens Steelers for Westwood One. It is a pleasure to welcome back to the program Mr. Mike Golic, who is with us now here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, sir. Happy New Year. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Oh, no problem at all. I'm excited to come up there this weekend because it's not snowing like it was last weekend. I was fortunate enough Christmas night to be working the Arizona game, so I never really got nailed by any of the bad weather. So, and I hear it's supposed to be in the 50s up there this weekend.
It is after, and we had the coldest game in Ravens history this past Sunday when they played the Falcons. So this is pleasant. I mean, this is we're joking that it's going to be in the 50s, and we're going to say we're going to be out there in short sleeves on Sunday night.
Yep.
It's going to be
absolutely,
nice.
yes.
Mike, when I just say the words, when you find out that the assignment is going to end up being Ravens Steelers, just what comes to mind for you?
Well, I mean, you love that rivalry. You love hitting in this game. You love what this game is about. Now, you have a Baltimore team that's already in the playoffs in Pittsburgh, trying to break in a rookie, quarterback and try and see what they have going forward, even though the game a few weeks ago was just a 2-point game. I just think of a great rivalry, kind of like, a hitting rivalry. I played in the NFC East where they called it like the black and blue division, with the running and the hitting that went on. And this game always reminds me of a hard-hitting game.
No doubt. And by the way, we saw it the first time, it almost felt like sort of a vintage Ravens-Steelers game. That, yep. From the last couple of years where it had been a bit more offense, the last time these teams got together, it really did almost feel like it ended up being 16-14, but we were kind of joking ahead of time, just pencil in 13-10. That's what we're getting in this game because these are defensive teams once again.
Yeah, so for those that like to dabble in the gambling part of sports, the under is always a pretty good bet in this type of game because they're not really, especially if, when Lamar Jackson's not playing, they are not juggernaut offenses on either side.
Correct. There's not going to be much of that whatsoever.
No.
That being said, Mike, obviously the big storyline for us in Baltimore, presuming they get Lamar Jackson back at some point, is there a world where you've seen how they've run the ball with J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards healthy again, Ronnie Stanley back, and you've seen how they've played defense with Roquan Smith in tow? If they can get Lamar Jackson back and they just can, grind this thing away on the ground, can you see a world in which the Ravens can be competitive with the top teams in the AFC and have a chance at making a Super Bowl run?
Oh, sure. Listen, if you can run the ball, you can control the game. Now, you have offenses in the AFC, like with a Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, even a Herbert in I almost said San Diego, shame on me, in L.A. Now, Josh Allen's been throwing some red zone interceptions, but you can have big playability by those teams. But if you be able to run the ball and control it, which Baltimore can, then you can be in pretty good shape. And the defense has been playing great. What is it, the last 6 or 7 games, 14 points or less. If your defense is playing that well, that means you're in every game. Now, can you hold the higher scoring offenses once you get to the playoffs in the AFC down like that? Maybe not, but maybe not give them their normal in the 30s or high 20s points to keep you in the game. This is all based on, listen, it's the same in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, trying to get that number one seed, and they should be able to get one win without Jalen Hurts. Baltimore's already in the dance. So
Right.
The best thing you can do now is make sure the key players are healthy by the time you get to the playoffs, because you're not going anywhere without Lamar Jackson. So you need him back on the field to help do that running game, and then obviously the way he can throw the ball as well.
Mike Golic is with us here on GCR. A couple interesting things you bring up there, right? Like the comparison of the Eagles, obviously, like the thing that stands out is I think there's a bit more faith, that the Eagles, if they need to, can throw the ball when they get Jalen Hurts back because of their wide receivers, whereas the Ravens are trying to do this weird bit where they don't have any wide receivers, and they're trying to win, and it's much more difficult. Again, as anemic as they are at that position, will that ultimately, no matter what, even if they get Lamar Jackson back, even if they run the ball, even if they play really good defense, do you feel like there's the most likely scenario is it will end up being their downfall, that they just don't have quality wide receivers to throw the ball to when they need to in big situations?
Yeah, I mean, you have Mark Andrews, right? But other than that, you don't have like big hitting plays. So yeah, I do. It kind of reminds me of Tennessee a little bit, though Lamar Jackson's a much better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. But they're two teams that live off the run, right? And with Baltimore, you live off the run, which includes Lamar, which makes it that much better. In Tennessee, it's the running of Derrick Henry, and it's the defense. And you hope if you get into a passing situation, Tannehill can throw well, but it's kind of a wing and a prayer.
Right.
With Baltimore, it's kind of the same thing. If you have to, once you get to the better teams, if you're moving through the playoffs and you find yourself 10 down, 14 down, 2 scores down in that area, do you have the ability to come back? That's the issue. You have the ability to have long, sustained drives with the running game, but if you're down a couple of scores, that doesn't matter. It doesn't do you a damn bit of good.
No question.
You got to be able to make some big plays with the arm and your big play receiver. While he's one of the best in the business with Mark Andrews, it's just difficult to hit the long ball with your tight end.
Mike, you mentioned something. Mike Golic, of course, is going to be on the call Sunday night, Westwood 1 for Ravens Steelers. You mentioned something there about like making sure players stay healthy, and it's an interesting conversation because the Ravens, if they win their next 2 games, they would be the AFC North winners, right? They would get a home game in the playoffs. I get that nobody feels particularly confident about their ability to go into Cincinnati and beat a Bengals team that's just looking like absolute world beaters at the moment, but it's one game in the NFL and lots of crazy things happen. Would you be making decisions, right? Like if you were thinking about, for example, Lamar, and he said, look, I could play. I wouldn't be 100%, but I could play. Would you be thinking about saying like, we're in, let's not worry about that? Or would you say, no, the idea of winning the division is so significant, and starting at home is so worthwhile, we got to go for that. We got to push knowing if we just win our 2 games, we can win the division.
The ultimate goal is to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, and you're not doing it without Lamar Jackson. So if I'm a player, which I was for a lot of years, I want to play. I will beg the coaches to let me play, and I will say everything you said. We have a chance to win the division. I want to go out there and help. Now, if I'm the organization, I have to take a step back and say, okay, we're already in. We can win the division if we bring our guys back early, because you had a couple other guys, nicked up in this game as too, as Calais Campbell, and somebody else was Peters was nicked up, I believe, as well.
Mm-hmm, yep.
So you have to weigh that and say we're going to the playoffs. So and we're not going to get a bye. So we're going to go right into the playoffs. So do we want those guys as healthy as we possibly can and win on the road, which we can do? Or, do we put them out there and try and get the division title? To me, again, it depends on how serious the injury. But let's just stick with Lamar. If Lamar is ready to go and you're just holding him off just to make sure, I could see playing him. But if he's not 100% and you risk re-injuring anything, then you're done. You're done.
Right.
But at least now you're in, and you can give him a little more time off if he needs it. I'm not in the locker room or the training room, so I don't know that.
Sure.
But if he needs a little more time, then give him a little more time, because you're in the tournament. And that's all. Division is great, and that's a goal. But the next goal after that is getting the playoffs. And they're in the playoffs. So once you're in the playoffs, man, throw everything else out, you got a chance.
Do you think it would be important for him to be on the field before? Like, would you be worried at all about him not playing at all until the playoffs? And, the word rust comes to mind at that point, right? And I know this is an eternal dumb sports radio thing. You know a thing or two about this from your sports radio career, this rest versus rust debate. But would you be at all worried about someone sitting for that long? I mean, we're talking about, basically 6 weeks at that point, and then coming out there in the playoffs and having to, hypothetically go on the road to somewhere like Jacksonville and just kind of flick a switch and go jump right back in at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. And again, I bring up Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play anymore and they win one more game, they get a bye. He's going to go a number of weeks if they sit him, if they keep him out. Listen, injury dictates all. If he's not ready to play, if Lamar's not ready to go, it's a moot
nothing
point,
you can
right?
do, right?
You don't do it. But here the situation is you only have a couple of more games, and then you're in the playoffs. So if he's not going to play this week or next week, where does he get the time? Do you want to try and get him time? Is it better off just to do it on the practice field, even though the practice field never simulates full speed? And the rust versus rest is or that argument is always what suits you best. If all of a sudden you have to have a person out that's out for a long time, you say, "Oh, he's rested. He's going to be great."
Right.
It's just like a bye. When you have a bye later in the season, oh, this bye is at a perfect time.
Yeah.
No matter what, you say it's working for your team. So that's what you're always going to do, is say it's working for your team. But I'll say again, only they know how healthy he is and the risk of what the injury is, and then the risk of re-injuring that in that situation. That has to go all into play, because I'm sure they would like to play him before the playoffs start. I'm sure, and I know he would like to play, but you have to be smart about it.
I wanted, if I could, just a couple more minutes here with Mike Golic. Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, this coaching matchup. It's basically like the last vestige of the Ravens Steelers. The greatest era of this rivalry is you have these two coaches who have withstood and continue to succeed. Obviously, Mike Tomlin, they might be eliminated before this game, but they would still have this thing where he's never had a losing record that is significant there. John Harbaugh now has made 10 playoff appearances in 15 seasons as a head coach. And yet there are still people that will criticize and say, yeah, but he's only won one playoff game since 2014. And, that's all things are true. But what these two guys have done longevity-wise and sustaining with personnel changes, with changes within their franchises, what do you make of these two men, John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, being in this situation at this point?
Well, I mean, put it in the situation of the organization. And understand, for Pittsburgh, they've had, 3 coaches since 1969.
Yeah.
So, because what we see, in forgetting just football and all the sports, we see the trigger pulled a little too quickly sometimes. Because people got to realize, when you change a head coach, you're changing assistant coaches, you're changing philosophy, you're changing X's and O's, you're changing the personality of the team. You have to go through that entire change. So, I mean, to me, I always enjoy leaning on the side of, let's give it some more time and let's see what we can do. And inevitably, if it comes to a point where you have to make a change, okay. But I so applaud, these two coaches, because they're highly successful, but also the organizations for sticking with them. Now, especially in Pittsburgh, when you're not having any losing records, you don't really have a reason to get rid of your coach at all. But I think if I have this stat right, they have met the second most times of any head coaches. The first, the two coaches that have met the most, Curly Lambeau and George Halas.
Holy crap!
And then Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. I think I have that right. If I don't, it sounds good anyway.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
Sure,
yeah, that's a note, my man.
Sure I'm pretty sure someone will check that, but I think I've read that in the notes already on this game. So kudos to them. And you know what? They're good guys too. I've gotten to know them both. I like them both a lot. I think they treat their players extremely well. So, I mean, what can you do but just tip your cap at two guys like that?
Is there an argument for the Ravens that if they don't make a deep run in the postseason, that it might be time to reconsider their offensive strategy? That not, again, I think it's insane that anybody would suggest that John Harbaugh would go. But 5 years into this experiment of just running, if they don't have anything of significant to show for it, other than, again, winning a lot in the regular season, which is not nothing, should they maybe think about the way that they go about handling offense?
Well, are you going to get rid of? Are you not going to sign Lamar Jackson then? Is he not going to be your quarterback anymore? I mean, we went through this with Josh Allen. Josh Allen ran so much his first year, especially at the end of it, and we were like, wow, this is great. But Buffalo, his second year, they were like, man, do we want to get him hurt? So we didn't have him run much and just threw, and he wasn't the same.
Right.
So if Lamar Jackson's going to be your quarterback, you got to run the offense that fits Lamar Jackson, which means he is going to run, that team is going to run, and they're going to supplement it with the pass. And if you're getting close, like Tennessee has been getting close, and they haven't changed, So if people there are saying Lamar's not going to get it done, then my next question always is, well, who are you going with? Where are you going?
I think it would be a failure, a miserable failure if the Ravens didn't keep Lamar Jackson.
So if Lamar Jackson is going to be your quarterback, you can't all of a sudden say, you know what, we're now going to pass it 35 times a game and not use a part of his skill set that's going to help so much. I think that would actually make this team go the other way if you tried to do that.
Before I let you go, Mike, I have to ask you a fatherhood question. Would you be willing to entertain this with me? Because
absolutely.
The University of Maryland is playing in the Mayonnaise Bowl on Friday. And we are doing the stunt this morning. Young Carson is in studio enjoying some Oreos and mayonnaise like your own son did a year ago in honor of the Mayonnaise Bowl. I know you're quite proud of your son and all of his accomplishments, but when you see him eating Oreos and mayonnaise on national TV as a father, and I got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I hope they succeed anywhere near like your son has. As a father, your response is what exactly when you witness that?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay.
I loved it. You know what, man? He steps out on the ledge. Dares to be a little bit different.
Would you have been willing to try it yourself?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Listen, I've been in this business for, 2.5 decades.
You've done,
I've done some really...
Yes, I remember you doing the Kim Kardashian photo stands out quite significantly among your. Yeah, that's a good point. So this is something.
If you can't do things that where you can laugh at yourself, and sometimes maybe don't taste as good, then what are we doing? Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's make some people smile.
What about if it wasn't on the show? Like, would you ever be willing to just dunk an Oreo in mayonnaise just to find out what it tastes like?
Oh God, no.
Okay,
no,
all right.
No,
I want to make sure we're on board with that.
We all have lines, right? Yeah.
The great Mike Golic. Hey, Mike, you want to plug your the show that you do?
Yeah, on DraftKings, I do a show with Jess Smetana, who works obviously with Levitard and Stugotz as well. It's called Golic and Smetty. So wherever you find your podcast, we're out there once a week, and I jump on my son's show, Gojo. He does his podcast every day, so we have some fun there. It's weird, you do a show, but we're in a podcast world now. I do kind of miss the days when I was just on air for X amount of time, and that's when I did everything and not do interviews at all different times of day and different things. It's a podcast, a different world, man.
It is a very different world. There's no doubt. At Golic on Twitter is how you follow him. Of course, Westwood One, Sunday night for Ravens Steelers. Mike Golic, truly appreciate you squeezing us in during your holiday season, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
You got it. Take care.
It's great Mike Golic with us here on GCR. Carson.
I didn't want to take the focus away from the interview. I think I'm going to try and knock 2 out at once and do a double-decker, double stuffed mayo Oreo.
All right, let's do that when we come back from break.
Okay, let's do that.
All right, let's tease that, and you're going to have to stick around for the double stuff.
Stick around.
Are you doing this for the stunt or because you think it'd be better to just do 2 at 1 to try to get it over with quicker?
Efficiency and the stunt.
Okay,
both.
all right. I appreciate the showmanship of it. I do appreciate that. Hey, today's show is brought to you by, this one's going to be brought to you by the Baltimore County Police Department. Thinking about a career change. You have maybe somebody in your life that hasn't necessarily gotten focused out of high school. Cadet salary start over $30,000. Officer salary start over $60,000 with a $10,000 signing bonus. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com. Think about maybe a different path, being part of the change that you want to see within the community with the Baltimore County Police Department. Drew Forrester is going to join us, and yes, Carson is going to attempt the double-decker. By the way, Mike Golic Jr. has chimed in about the Would You Rather Wednesday question. We have not. Maybe we should tag him in a picture of Carson doing the double-decker and see what his response is to that. We've had a very Golic morning here on GCR. Carson will do that. Drew will come up next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Looking for a simple holiday meal? Try Chick-fil-A Catering. From Chick-fil-A nuggets to mac and cheese, enjoy a variety of tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app and bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
It's the perfect time to sign the young basketball fan in your life up for a membership in the Retriever Kids Club. It includes free youth admission to all regular season UMBC home games, plus a t-shirt and a drawstring backpack. Membership is only $35. It makes a great gift. Visit UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club for more info. Membership is available for kids 12 and under in the Retriever Kids Club. Again, UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
PressBoxOnline.com/offers. PressBoxOnline.com/offers. They're not going to last forever, as sports betting is now a month old here in the state of Maryland, or mobile sports betting, that is. These companies are going to start moving on at some point to other places where they're launching legal sports betting there. So take advantage of these things while you still can. Like, for example, $100 in free bets from Barstool after you place your first $10 bet, or up to $1,500 in risk-free bets from Caesars. Find out more, PressBoxOnline.com/offers. All right, so Carson is paying off his portion of last week's side bet, and he has built this double-decker Oreo and Duke's mayonnaise sandwich. Now,
Breakfast of Champions.
How you feeling about this?
I mean, it tastes really awful.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it tastes
really.
There's
is
a
bad.
small part of me that just wants to know, but there's also a smart part of me that's like, nope.
You know what I'll say.
You know what? I'm never gonna know what it's like. I'm never gonna know, for example, what meth is like, and I'm gonna be okay with that.
Glenn, it tastes exactly how you'd expect it.
I bet it would.
It tastes exactly how you'd expect it.
Do you think this is gonna somehow take the sting away by
No,
doing two at once?
So I'm doing this for two reasons. We talked about this during the break. I'm doing this for the stunt.
Yes.
And for the efficiency.
All right, just trying to get closer to the finish line. All right,
I plan on doing one more of these.
Here's
as well.
you're going to do two double deckers,
and then I'm at 5, and then I got to do.
You wouldn't. You definitely won't try triple decker.
Are you triple dog daring?
I'm totally triple dog daring.
I might have to do it then.
Now it's got to be really caked. All right, it's
see,
got to be
that one. Like, I don't know.
Like what I don't like about this one, right? Like
is that it's not caked.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you do a triple decker, and I again the sport of it, I love it. I love it.
The problem is that I don't think I could get enough mayonnaise on there. And I also think like I would like bite it one time and it would just all fall apart. And I don't think it would work.
I also think it would create the visual of like there being a white substance on your mouth.
I don't want
and
I don't want that.
feel
I don't
like
want that image on the
that
internet.
imagery would
don't want
be
that.
maybe iconic.
I don't want that to
point.
come back and bite me someday.
All right, so this is the double-decker Oreo mayonnaise
There it
sandwich
is,
that
guys.
Carson is going with right now. Let's see how this goes. And that's a lot. Oh, that's a lot. I feel something. By the way, you still have a little bit. You might want to. There's already an image that could be troubling if somebody screenshots it. I don't know. Maybe the microphone was blocking it. Yeah. How you feeling? You're not gonna puke, are you?
No, but like it's terrible.
You know, I puked a lot in here last Thursday. There was a lot of puking after I woke up. Took a nap and started puking, and my kids showed up and they said, "Is it because of the jelly beans?" And I said, "Yes, that's exactly the reason why. Was because of the jelly beans." By the way, biggest upset of the drinking show, panettone, delicious. Who knew?
I was shocked to find out you liked it.
Very tasty. I thought it was dry as hell. As it turns out, it's a very moist cake. I enjoy the hell out of it. It's delicious. I don't need to Lady and the Tramp it any longer with Jeremy Kahn, but
When I opened it, I was like,
I
hey,
thought
you
that
know,
was what made it so delicious.
it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt.
it didn't smell bad. It smelled good.
Somebody asked me why I did that. I said, why not? Like, if you had the opportunity to, why wouldn't you?
All right, so we're 3 down.
Oh,
We have three to go.
you washed it down with some Dr. Pepper.
I was already done.
Were
But-
you though?
I was done.
Were you? I think
I can
that
show
might
you. I
be
can show you.
cheating.
That's not cheating.
I think that might be cheating.
if I was gonna wash it down, I would have taken a sip immediately.
All right, so Carson's halfway through his punishment of 6 mayonnaise Oreos this morning from last week's side bet. You're not doing so well with side bets to kick this thing off.
0 for 2.
Yeah, not
for
so
2.
great. Not so great. Not that I've had a great streak.
Yeah. So
Griffin all of a sudden went from losing every week to only losing like every other week.
In
which is,
conclusion,
Pretty good.
take my picks down to the Maryland Live Casino and fade them.
yes,
every
exactly
week.
right. Exactly right. All right, it is Would You Rather Wednesday. Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com is with us. What's going on, pal? How are you?
You said punishment?
Yeah. All right. Wait a second. Now, Drew, of course, famously, you did it was Oreo spam and what on the sandwich?
I had one this morning. It was Oreos, spam, and it might have been mayonnaise.
No,
but I didn't put mayonnaise on my,
No. You were very clear. You don't eat mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah. No mayonnaise. Right. Yeah,
So-
right. You're right.
Did we replace it with something, or we just did spam and Oreos?
It might just been spam and Oreos, but it was delicious.
Yeah, I know. By the way, Drew's had one every day since that point. This you would not be able to do. This was famously Mike Golic Jr. during the mayonnaise bowl last year, dipping Oreos into mayonnaise. So Carson is doing that this morning, and he decided the second time around to make an Oreo mayonnaise sandwich where the mayonnaise was between the 2 Oreos. And he's okay, but you wouldn't do this.
Correct, because I can't eat mayonnaise.
What is that? When you say you can't eat it, what does that mean?
It's a religious thing. I can't get into it, but
You can't. They frown upon it in the Catholic Church.
I can't speak publicly about it.
No,
but
I really want to know this. Like, have you never been able to eat mayonnaise?
I can tolerate mayonnaise on some things.
Okay, like what? If I served you a BLT, would you have mayonnaise on it?
Yeah, I could eat that. I could eat it with tuna. But
Okay.
if you just put mayonnaise on like a sandwich, that I
So
gotta pass
if someone prepared you a hamburger that had mayonnaise on it,
it's got to have some ketchup mixed in there.
in order to wash it down. What about like a ham sandwich?
I can't have mayonnaise on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
A ham sandwich. You can't just.
Can't have.
Man, I don't. When did this start? Has it always been this way?
No, it's been a while. You go through these weird things in your
Look, I don't.
eating life.
To be clear, I don't care for mayonnaise. I think it's not a good condiment, but I could consume it. I have to have a tub of it poured on my head tomorrow, so I'm not doing so well either with this. I can consume it if necessary. This sounds like a visceral, like if you consumed a ham sandwich with mayonnaise, would you like dry heave? Would you puke?
Yeah, I would. something would happen, I would have a physical reaction. Let's just say that.
Right. Well, I just have a new idea for a stunt that we might consider here in a future episode of Glenn Clark Radio. What's going on with you, dog? Why aren't you here?
I got stuff going on. I'm busy.
What are you doing? What the hell? What's going on with you?
I got stuff going on. I'm busy.
I'm sure you are. Doing what? You're playing golf, aren't you?
I wish I was. I am going to play this week, though.
Of course you are. Of course you're going to play golf. Well, I don't know. It's supposed to be 50 degrees by the end of the week. Maybe you're not as insane as I think you are. Would you have played? Honest to God, if somebody invited you out this past Saturday, would you have played golf?
You know, I would not have, but I would say that there was a time 25 years ago when I probably would have, just for the fun of it.
So stupid. It's so
I know.
Stupid. What would
not this past?
Okay,
this past week.
This past Saturday. Of course.
No.
Hang on. What would someone had to have paid you to go to the Ravens game?
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that because I had probably 15 different people say, "Hey, you want 2 tickets?"
Of course
you
you
and
did.
I'm like, "No, I don't want any tickets."
No, are you out of your mind? By the way, I mean that is one thing. It was the people that were attempting to sell their tickets on Saturday. The number of people that were like,
I was a little surprised that the league didn't. And when I say these 5 cities, I could be wrong, but I was a little surprised the league didn't say New England, Cleveland, the Jets, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, everybody play on Monday. I think there was I guess no one died, but I thought there was a health risk for. Now you can elect not to go, but the players still have to play.
Correct. By the way, and you and I have talked about this a million times. It's why it's so embarrassing that we ever build any stadiums at this point that don't have roofs on them. Like it's just
correct.
Because we're still like hard asses from the 1940s. You got to be in the elements. As Drew just pointed out, get the entire F out of here. People die. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what's going on in Buffalo this week, but lots of people are dying in Buffalo. Yeah. It's horrible.
I'm a little surprised they didn't move the games to Monday.
I'm not surprised.
And by the way, they knew for 4 days.
Yeah, correct.
This was coming.
Well, hang on. Did you see what happened in Buffalo where they knew that there was a storm coming and they still said, go ahead and park your cars outside so that when the players got back, they had 10 feet of snow on top of their cars and couldn't get them out of the parking lot? That no one in a billion-dollar organization said to themselves, maybe we should try to find an indoor parking lot to have the guys park in this week. Maybe we should think about, like, renting someone's parking garage for the weekends.
Players there. By the way, the answer is $1,000.
If somebody said to you $1,000, you go sit out. If they said, I'll give you $100 to go sit out at the stadium, you wouldn't do it.
Zero chance.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I don't know if it'd be $1,000.
I think I offered Ethan $100 to take Knox for a walk.
Just so you wouldn't have to go outside. Just to avoid it. I get it, man. I completely understand.
Hey, look, I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere, man. I've been to Edmonton in January. I played hockey as a kid. I was in Kingston, Ontario in January. Like, I've been a lot of places. I don't know that I've ever felt anything like Saturday.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Now, I was in Edmonton once when it was 4 degrees, but it was a warm 4 degrees.
What's that? It was a warm 4 degrees. Sure it was. That's like when they say in Phoenix that it's a dry heat. Like, okay, Chief, you come out here for 120 degrees and tell me about how dry it is. We'll go ahead and do that.
But there was just something about Saturday and these people, these lunatics who went out there. They deserve. The Ravens should have given every one of those people something on Saturday.
I don't disagree.
I agree too.
Yeah, Griffin went to the game because he's 20 and he doesn't feel anything. Yeah.
Everyone who went to the game should have. We used to say this all the time about the Orioles. They'd have a game in April and it'd be 21 degrees, 31 degrees at first pitch, and there'd be 5,200 people there, and they wouldn't let anybody move down to the front.
Right.
And I would get on the air the next day and scream about. Not only did you not allow people to go down to the front, but it was 37 degrees at first pitch, and you morons wouldn't give everybody free hot chocolate. Like, when these people come out in these adverse conditions, do something for them. And please don't say to me, oh, well, if we gave away 31,000 free hot chocolates last Saturday, we'd have lost 50 grand. Maybe.
Well, the idea is that it's a lost
Maybe.
leader. Like, that's the concept. It's a lost leader.
Right. At the end of the year, when Steve says, how much did we make this year?
Right.
Well, we made $201,417,000. What happened? Well, we gave away $64,000 of hot chocolate at that game against the Falcons. Oh. So I would have made $201,550,000.
Yeah, instead I had to suffer through only making That's a great point. Look, people do the dumb attendance bit all the time. I actually, and I know that you could make fun of John Harbaugh for making it seem like it was a big deal. He's 1,000% right. You and I used to talk about this when somebody would say like, "Oh, there were only 8,000 people at the Blast game," and I'd be like, "Dude, do you realize how insane it is that you can get 8,000 people to show up for an indoor soccer game? Like, it's amazing if that's the case." I can't believe how many people were there on Saturday.
Either. And I think I know that I'm pretty sure I know the number.
Yeah.
And I think the number was like 36,000.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
I can't believe it.
Right.
I mean, You're telling me 36,000 people walked into that stadium?
Yep.
And watched a football game? And here's the thing, not to compare the Blast to the Ravens. If 8,500, we had a blizzard game once against Harrisburg. Literally, there was a blizzard. Harrisburg left. The game was supposed to start at 6:05, and this is off the top of my head. Harrisburg left up there at like 2:00, and the whole reason why we had to play was the refs were in town, and the commissioner said, you got to play the game.
Okay.
The refs are there, and I'm like,
by the way, unlike a Coppin State basketball game last week that was scheduled for 11 a.m. and the refs didn't show up. Right.
So Harrisburg, I'm communicating with Harrisburg all morning, and they don't want to come down, and it's you got to drive all the way down 83, and they don't want to come down, and the commissioner says, if you don't go, it's a $10,000 fine. Harrisburg gets in their cars at 2:00. And at 5:00, they call and they say, we're still in New York.
Yeah, sure. Right.
But we're on our way.
Yeah, we're coming. Yeah, right.
We delay the game until 7:05. They get to Baltimore at 6:30.
Okay.
The game kicks off at like 7:50. 2,000 people are there.
Holy crap.
Now wait. Now here's my whole point. Those 2,000 people came to the game, and they couldn't have stayed home to watch it.
Yep.
The only way they could have seen the game.
Yep.
Was to come.
Yeah, there was no CBS broadcast for the
36,000 people got in their car and drove down there, knowing they could have sat at home and watched it.
100%. It's amazing.
That's what I can't believe.
Yep. It's amazing. It is amazing that as many people showed up for that
game. The stadium was filled up with people, and it was 10 degrees.
Yep, and felt worse than that. And felt even dumber than that. And Real Fan Dan took his clothes off, and it was just, God bless. God bless.
And did that, and and I don't know if you saw my Drew's Morning Dish today, but I promoted your piece you wrote this week. Half of those people were at the game hoping the team would lose. That's the amazing part. 18,000 of the 36 went down there and said, I am a season ticket holder. I love the team. I'm going down there today specifically hoping to see them lose. And it wasn't 60 degrees on Christmas Eve. And we even haven't talked about that. It was Christmas Eve, and they still win.
Right. No doubt. It's insane.
And half of them were there hoping the team would lose 13-6.
Yep. That's a fact. I don't know if they were really. This is the funny part when you say that. I don't know that they're actually rooting for them to lose once they get there.
Oh, there are. Oh, you're way.
I
you're
think
way wrong.
I think they want Greg Roman fired. I think they want John Harbaugh fired. I think when they get to the game, they're not actually rooting against the team. It's a weird relationship because these are psychopaths that we're talking about. They would go out to a game in 10-degree weather. They're definitely psychopaths.
Okay, but we're in this. We're in this part of whatever you want to call this. We're in this part of the evolution of the planet, of the world. 100 years ago, it was the manufacturing part of the world, where we were building cars and learning about the telephone, and we were doing things, building railroad systems. We were manufacturing things that were going to increase and improve the quality of life in our world.
Okay.
50 years ago, we morphed into like the science part of it.
Okay.
Where we really started to get into medicine and science and wellness and how do we when you got cancer in 1950 or even in 1987 when my mom got it, when you got cancer in the 50s or 60s, you just died. Right? We got it. We went into this science part. We're now in the part of the world where I have to be right, and you just do you.
There's no doubt, right?
But I feel like I feel like I'm X. That's okay. You just do you. As long as you're right, as long as you feel right, long as whatever you're thinking, we can't hurt your feelings. We know you want to be right. I got to be right. So this is the number one prevailing thought in sports everywhere. And I wrote about this today. I had a friend of mine who tweeted this to me. Harbaugh's lost the locker room. I said, you have no more idea if John Harbaugh has lost the locker room than you do what it feels like to walk on the moon.
Correct.
Those two things are the exact same comparison. You have no idea. You've never been in the locker room. You've never been a football player for the Ravens. You've never played for John Harbaugh. You have no idea what you're talking about. Zero. In the same way that if I said, what's it like to walk on the moon, you would say, I have no idea.
Fact.
But
hang on a second. Hang on. I've done some good drugs in my day. So.
All right. But he believes it. He believes it.
I hear you. I hear you, man.
Walk the locker room.
I know all that's true. I just still feel like those people, when they get to the game on set, they don't go there saying, I want the outcome to be that they lose. It's a weird. I know you're right. I know you're right about what you're saying, because I know these people. But I know these people go still put their jerseys on and go to the game. And my brother-in-law is one of these people who sat out with Griffin in the freaking cold on Saturday, and then will come back and piss and moan. But I know he was rooting like hell for the team to win. It is the strangest thing. It is a really weird dichotomy within the psychology of a football fan that for 6 days of the week, everything's a disaster. John Harbaugh's an idiot. Greg Roman's an idiot. Lamar Jackson's terrible. They should have gotten rid of him, trade him in the offseason, all of those things. And then when the game kicks off on Sunday, you are rooting like hell for the team to win. It's a weird vibe, man.
Well, I think there's a segment of the audience that has put their feet in the ground and said, I would rather be right than the team win.
It's a weird
because I've made my stand. I've made my stand. I can't go back. And if they win, people are going to say, told you Harbaugh was a good coach.
Right.
So I can't have.
Right. I hear you. And
then, Tony Lombardi wrote something interesting this week, too, about, and it dovetails perfectly into it, which is this apathy that has developed. And it's been a gradual thing. I would say that, post post 2012, it's just gradually, maybe in 13 and 14 there were 70,000 people there every game, and then 2 years later there were 68,000, and now they're advertising for tickets. The apathy that people have for the success of the franchise is unreal, particularly in this town, when you juxtapose it against what the baseball team has done.
So I hear it. What I would say in response is I think that exists everywhere. I don't think that's unique here. And I think that specifically in relation to people going to the games, we know why this is the case. The experience is terrible. No, I don't.
Yeah, I wasn't really. I wouldn't say I don't go to the games. And I'm an ardent fan, and I go once or twice, but it's just not. When I was doing this for real, I was there all the time. I'm just not. I've got kids. I'm more interested in other things now. But I shouldn't have used that as an example. I just think in general, and a lot of the things that you and I and anybody really, a lot of what we glean from the public perception is through social media. And we know that the number one, we know that, I don't want to say number one, but we know one of the priorities about social media is I got to say something to get a reaction.
No, there's a lot of that, yes. It doesn't matter.
Harbaugh,
right.
And this is, I said this the other day to somebody on the air at 105.7. Called in and said it was a little bit similar to something that somebody said to you about accountability, and a guy called in and said that Harbaugh, that the team's been terrible. This terrible play. I said, you terrible play.
Right.
They're 9-5.
Right. What are we doing?
And 3 of their 5 losses were like rabbits out of the hat by the other team.
Right. What are we doing?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
But this is what we do. We don't say, boy, I wish the team's play was a little more consistent. What we say is, man, I'm tired of this team playing so terrible.
Right. No, or we just make up things, or we just, we find something that we harp on because, again, this goes back to you and I have talked about the idea of winning replacement theory. There's a million reasons why this exists. There's no doubt the social media influence is significant. The just say anything for the sake of saying anything thing, where it doesn't matter if there is no right, there's no wrong. It's just what gets attention. There's a lot of awful in there. It's the world in which O.J. Simpson might end up on Dancing with the Stars next season, right? Because there is no right or wrong any longer. There is no fact be damned. It's just what can you do to get attention.
Not only is there no right or wrong, there's also this thing now that's prevalent in sports, and it's funny. This pastor from San Francisco that I follow, who's awesome, his name is Francis Chan, has this sermon that he talks about, and he says, and I don't mean to make this religious, this is comparison to sports, where he says, in today's world, if you want to find someone, a preacher, who says, if you think you're a dog, you are. It's okay. You can find someone to say, if you think you should have 3 wives, you should have 3 wives. It's okay. If you think you should worship Satan, you can find somebody to say that's okay. And in this world of sports today, if you want to find someone to back up your point that
exists,
Tyler Huntley should be the starting quarterback,
right?
You can go to a podcast somewhere in Baltimore, and someone will say that.
Yep.
And you'll say,
see, I'm right.
Clark guy
right.
really knows. What I told you.
Yep.
You hear Glenn Clark?
Yep.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, I got to wrap this up. Let's do Would You Rather Wednesday. It's brought to you by Glory Days Grill. The Comfort Classic menu is still available right now. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. Drew and I were just there last week enjoying some delicious Glory Days Grill. We had some wings. I went with the smoky thigh wings. Drew, we had the Honey Old Bay wings while we were at Glory Days Grill last week. Again, GloryDaysGrill.com. If you had to put to the nearest 1,000 the number of wings you've had at Glory Days Grill in your life, what do you think the number would be?
7.
7,000? I think it might be more for me, honestly. I think it might be greater than that. All right, number 1, Football Wizard offers you the opportunity to go back and change one thing that happened on the field for the Ravens in calendar 2022 here at the end of the year. And you have to tell me what it would be on the field, or one thing that happened off the field you can change, and what would it be? Now, to be clear, I'm talking about off-field decisions. Somebody brought up the passing of Jalen Ferguson. No, we love Jalen. We miss Jalen. We're talking about decisions that were made. One on-the-field thing that occurred or one off-the-field decision that was made by the Baltimore Ravens. What would you change?
I would say that the one thing I would change is they should have got Roquan Smith at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that would have been good. My God, man, he's unbelievable. Number 2. You're hypothetically scheduled to fly southwest to Florida early in January, like maybe somebody you know. Would you rather hope everything is fixed and just ride it out, or go ahead and start making alternate plans now?
I gotta think I might make alternate plans.
Yep, I think somebody you know might be looking into some alternate plans at this point. I'm flying, by the way, MLK Day week, so I feel like maybe there's enough time there to get things fixed, but I'm starting to get nervous about it. I'm starting to look. I'm starting to think.
Interesting is this whole whatever you want to call this thing that's happened to them.
Yeah,
has been really tempered by the fact that they are a beloved company.
That's true, but this is teetering. Like, if this continues for another week, it's teetering towards not like the end of the company, but finally ending what you just said, which is that they will not be able to still be a beloved company moving forward. That
right, they're one of the more iconic, beloved companies in America.
Right. If I have to fly, I'd rather fly Southwest. Like that's.
Right.
They're not. They're not Chick-fil-A. Like, you're not going to go out and buy a Southwest T-shirt to wear, but flying is a miserable experience. Most people would say, but I prefer flying Southwest because the rates are reasonable. They're largely pretty good to deal with. Like, I'm good with Southwest if I have to fly.
By the way, when the plane says it's taking off at 11:27, it takes off at 11:27.
Well, it used to. It used to do.
Right,
that.
right.
Correct. Related to what we were talking about, would you rather have to take the mayonnaise bath like the winner of the bowl game, or do what Carson's doing and consume 8 Oreos dipped in mayonnaise?
I think the mayonnaise bath thing sounds kind of erotic.
Oh, okay. All right. That's the direction that nobody's taken it yet. And I actually have a fourth. Would you rather have the opportunity to go back and relive yesterday as Luka Doncic, or have the opportunity to live tomorrow as Pete Davidson?
What is the infatuation with Pete Davidson?
Hey, bro, I don't know, but it's real.
But what is it?
Dude, I don't have the answer for you. I mean, most people think it has something to do with what's in his pants.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot out there about that.
Oh,
come on, one or the other. We got things to do.
I'd rather be the basketball player. He gets more girls.
I don't know if that's true either. All right, DrewsMorningDish.com, and they're letting you go back on radio again?
8 to 10 Friday night.
Okay.
3 to 5 Sunday.
Holy hell, man! I can't believe they survived the last one. This is unbelievable.
Well, that was the trade-off. The trade-off, would you come in and do 8 to 10 Friday night? I'm like, yeah, I'll come in and talk to my family for 2 hours. Sure.
105.7 The Fan. You'll hear Drew Forrester there. All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Happy New Year, pal. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
Talk to you next year.
There you go. That's Drew Forrester, DrewsMorningDish.com. I really need to squeeze in a break. If it costs us, it costs us. It's what it is. Kevin Brown is going to join us to preview the Military Bowl, talk some Orioles next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Looking for a simple holiday meal? Try Chick-fil-A Catering. From Chick-fil-A nuggets to mac and cheese, enjoy a variety of tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app and bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
It's the perfect time to sign the young basketball fan in your life up for a membership in the Retriever Kids Club. It includes free youth admission to all regular season UMBC home games, plus a t-shirt and a drawstring backpack. Membership is only $35. It makes a great gift. Visit UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club for more info. Membership is available for kids 12 and under in the Retriever Kids Club. Again, UMBCRetrievers.com/Kids Club.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
All right, so Carson did, during the break, take down one more mayonnaise Oreo, so he's at 4 of the 6 he has to consume. And you're planning on closing it out with another double-decker before the show is over? Oh, you got it. Yeah, go ahead.
That's one more double-decker.
One more double-decker before the show is over in order to get to 6 mayonnaise Oreos to pay off his side of the bet. Hey, one more Tyus Bowser show before the season is over. Next Tuesday night, January 3rd, we will be at Guilford Hall Brewery in Station North, which if you haven't been, it's so great. Come out and hang out with Tyus and his special guest. We'll be there at 7 o'clock next Tuesday night for the final Tyus Bowser show of the season. It's been a partnership of PressBox and Grade 8's Memorabilia, brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Today in Annapolis, bowl season comes local. The Military Bowl at 2 o'clock between UCF and Duke. You can watch it if you're not headed down on ESPN, and you will hear a very familiar voice. He is our friend and Orioles play-by-play voice on Masson. He is Mr. Kevin Brown, and he's with us now here on GCR. Kevin, happy holidays, my friend. Great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time this morning.
Did you say mayonnaise Oreos?
It's so funny you bring that up because I was going to ask you, how many other bowl assignments do you have this season?
This is it for me.
Okay.
I'm feeling okay about that, given that I think mayonnaise Oreos are a tie-in.
Yes.
Duke's Mayo.
So, yes, of course, Maryland is playing in the Mayo Bowl on Friday, so we've been doing some related content. A year ago, I think it was Anish and Mike Golic Jr. who had the game.
Yes.
And as part of it, they had Golic literally eat Oreos dipped in Duke's mayonnaise. And so I figured you might not have been all that upset when you got your bowl. Because, the sponsors are a big part of why bowl season exists. So you kind of, during the broadcast, have to lean in a little bit. I'm guessing you're not all that upset with your assignment, and there probably aren't a whole lot of stunts that you guys are going to be able to do with this one.
Not a lot of stunts for the Military Bowl, no. I won't be, jumping out of a helicopter at halftime or
Now,
anything
wait a
like
second,
that.
though. But if they asked you to.
Yeah, I'm game for anything
All right.
as long as it's not hazardous to my health. I can't see how jumping out of a helicopter would be anything but safe for me.
I jumped out. The Army, in fact, asked me a couple years ago to jump out of a plane with the Army, what is it, Golden Knights, I believe, is their parachute team. And I said, if I'm going to jump out of a plane with anybody, it would probably want to be with the Army Golden Knights, right? Like, it seems like that's the route to go. So I did it. I was terrified, but I was really glad I did it. It was a fun stunt. If you were
Why did they ask you to do this?
they were just trying to get some publicity. Like they asked Jeremy Kahn to do it as well, and he chickened out. They asked a couple other folks in town to do it. They were just trying to get some publicity for, I think, Army recruitment, and so they asked some media personalities. They wanted to jump out of a plane, and it's something I'd never done before. Like I don't know. I want to be a well-rounded person. Kevin, I had so much anxiety that night. I don't know if you've dealt with any anxiety as a broadcaster. I don't know what your story is. I couldn't sleep. Like I hadn't felt anxiety since I was like a child. I had the worst anxiety attack of my life, and I literally paced for 7 hours before I jumped out of the plane.
But you did it.
I did it.
You conquered your fear, and you did it, and you lived to tell the tale with only 3 or 4 fractures in your body.
Correct. Not so bad. I feel like it would be if I was assigned the mayonnaise bowl and I had to do what young Carson is doing this morning and I had to consume mayonnaise and Oreos, I would also spend 7 hours pacing ahead of it. It'd be a very similar anxiety attack that I'd be dealing with. All right, let's talk about this game, UCF and Duke. We had Jordan Moore, the wide receiver from Duke. He is a Baltimore native, Loyola Blakefield, on the show a couple weeks ago. It's a very cool story. Give me a couple of storylines for people tuning in this afternoon that they should be interested in when it comes to Duke and UCF.
Yeah, I mean, the Jordan Moore thing is a great storyline because this is a kid who, for folks who didn't listen to that interview you did, who was battling for the starting quarterback job.
Yep.
And in the blink of an eye, switched from quarterback to receiver, and now leads Duke in catches. And I can't recall many, if any, instances of 2 players battling it out for the quarterback job, and then one of them becoming that quarterback's favored target. I think that's such a fascinating wrinkle. Duke as a whole is a magnificent story, and there are a lot of bowl games, and it can be hard to distinguish between some of them. I think this is a really fun matchup, and it starts with Duke because Duke had a nice little, I can't even call it resurgence, because there was nothing to surge back from. Let's call it a surgence under David Cutcliffe in the mid-2010s. They made 6 bowls in 7 years, but before that, this was maybe the worst Power 5 program in the country,
Sure.
and they've looked like that the last couple of years. They went 5-18 the last 2 years. They won 1 ACC game combined in the last 2 seasons. David Cutcliffe retires. Mike Elko takes over, big defensive-minded coach, and a Duke team that didn't seem to have a ton of talent or didn't seem to have anything going for it, went 8-4, and with a win today, it's their most wins in 8 years. They have a terrific dual-threat quarterback in Riley Leonard. This is a kid who was more of a basketball recruit than a football recruit, but he has broken the Duke record for touchdowns responsible for in a season. He's run for double digits. He's passed for 20. So he's an amazing story. And the other quarterback in the game for UCF is John Rice Plumlee, who was a quarterback at Ole Miss, then moved to wide receiver, transferred to UCF. I had a coach tell me this year that he has Michael Vick speed, legit Michael Vick speed. And he runs what's been timed as a 4.28 40. So I believe it. So you will see the fastest quarterback in the country for UCF, and you will see one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC for Duke, both of who can run for 100 yards, who can throw for 300 yards. So I think as exciting a quarterback matchup as just about any game we have, maybe outside of the New Year's Six bowl games in bowl season this year. And for UCF, it's their final game before going to the Big 12. They went 9-4. They can win double-digit games for just the 7th time in their program history. I think a lot of people know about UCF from the title game a few years ago that they claimed that they would be in.
Right.
They claimed the national championship, went undefeated. And they're off to the Big 12, but they are a really fun team to watch. Gus Malzahn is in his 2nd year there, obviously took Auburn to the championship game. And if you know one thing about Gus Malzahn in bowl games, it's that he will use every trick play in the book. And he told us this week he has 8. So he didn't say he would use all 8, but he will use some of the 8. So 2 amazing, fun, fast, interesting quarterbacks, guys who have taken non-traditional journeys to get here. And then a couple of head coaches who, ACC Coach of the Year on one end and maybe the game's biggest tricks the other. I think it's a really genuinely fun matchup on paper. You can find something in any bowl game, but it's not a game between 6 and 6 teams. These are 2 good teams, teams that score, teams that have really interesting quarterbacks, and there are a lot more fun stories we'll tell in the broadcast, but I think it's pretty easy to sell with the quarterback play and with the potential for Gus Malzahn chaos. And just the Duke turnaround is one of the best stories to me in college football this year.
Yes, Kevin Brown. He's on the call for the Military Bowl, 2:00 this afternoon on ESPN. Kevin, it's funny because I almost thought you could have just said they're 2 good teams, whereas you get through a lot of bowl games and you're like, 6 and 6 team that is in here because they scheduled some bad competition and non-conference play. Like, these are legitimately 2 teams that deserve to be playing in bowl games, and that alone. To me is significant because, as you know, not every bowl game is created that way, unfortunately.
Look, if you go 6 and 6 and you're in the MAC, go play in a bowl game. It's great for your program. It's great for your fans. I think bowl games are wonderful for these kids and these programs to get exposure, but they don't always make for the sexiest matchups. This is ACC versus about to be Big 12. These are 30-plus point per game offenses, pretty good defenses. These are legit good teams. Duke went 5-3 in the ACC, finished second in their division. UCF was in the title game in the American and, almost made it to the Cotton Bowl.
Right.
So, this is a matchup of 2 genuinely good teams. I also like bowl games that are Power 5 versus Group of 5 matchups, and this is, again, for one more day,
right?
Power 5 Group of 5, because UCF is going to go to the Big 12 next season, but we don't get many of these. All the bowl games, it seems like, are 2 Power 5 teams or 2 Group of 5 teams, and I love these matchups where it is a G5 versus a Power 5 because you can grab bragging rights if you're in the quote-unquote smaller conference. Now, UCF's a little different, obviously, but I like a good Group of 5, Power 5 matchup, and I think the spread on this one is 3 points when I last checked, so the thought is it should be a close game. The thought is it should be a high-scoring game. If you're flipping channels, you see 33-30 in the fourth quarter, why wouldn't you want to stop? I think this game could very easily be that kind of game.
By the way, to Kevin's point, until UCF lost to Navy, the assumption was that they were going to be the team that was going to end up in the Cotton Bowl. Like, every bowl prediction on the planet had them as the team that was going to represent the Group of 5 in the New Year's Six Bowl. So, no doubt about it. It's a pretty good one. All right, Kevin, how do you handle it? Of course, now you're so associated with the Orioles at this point. I'm sure you have people in your life, or at least a lot of people on Twitter, who are dealing with angst, who are like, "Hey, man, I thought there was going to be liftoff this offseason. I thought the Orioles were going to get Carlos Correa and Carlos Rodon." And how do you deal? What do you say to somebody that's maybe feeling angst about where the team is this offseason?
I would say, Carlos Correa is not signed yet. Who knows how many physicals he's going to
true.
fail? Maybe the Orioles will be the 30th team to offer him a contract. I get it, but I still think it's part of the plan, and maybe people are sick of hearing about the plan and sick of being patient, but I would just say look at what being patient got you last year. Got you one of the most fun teams in baseball, one of the farm systems in baseball. And as I looked at this offseason, I think the Orioles could still do well to add pitching. And I think we're not even into 2021 yet. I know most of the big free agent starters are gone, but there are still plenty of pitchers available. I don't think they're done. But I look at every position on the field, and I say there's either somebody who's there now or will be there in a year. Could be the future of that position for the next 7 years. The Orioles got a backup catcher. They have Adley Rutschman. He's locked in. They have Ryan Mountcastle, his mid-20s. They have Gunnar Henderson. He'll be at third. Second and short, in the next year, you're going to see Jordan Westbury. You're going to see Joey Ortiz, maybe Daryl Harnaez. Jorge Mateo is there right now. We'll see what happens with Ramon Urias, who can play all over the field. These guys are all in their young to mid-20s. And then Colton Cowser's looming.
Yep.
Eston Kjerstad maybe another year or two away. Kyle Stowers came up. Cedric Mullins is there. We'll see about Anthony Santander and Austin Hayes long term, but they are still in their mid-20s and very capable of getting on a contending team. So I get it. I get why people want to splash down money, but free agency wasn't just limited to this offseason. There are ways to build the team that are not just free agency, and there are going to be other off seasons to do that too. If the Orioles didn't think this was the time to splash all the money down, they will have other off seasons. I think it's still a prudent course of action to take some time, what I call a fact-finding expedition. You want to be in the postseason next year, yes, but you also want to learn which of these players are going to be part of your future. Like calling up Kyle Stowers last year was to learn if Kyle Stowers was going to be part of a contending team in a couple of years.
Sure.
Calling up Gunnar Henderson as aggressively as they did at a young age. Yes, it gave him a little boost in the playoff race, but I think it's a long-term move to see what you have. So I think the right course of action is not necessarily to block everybody right now. And maybe you come out of the season and say, wow, Jordan Westburg came up in July and took control of second base. Or maybe you say, you know what, we called up a couple of infielders and their bat-to-ball skills didn't work. They weren't as good defensively. We do need to go put big money on a second baseman or shortstop next year. There are always going to be free agents out there. The pitching thing, I get why people are a little more frustrated with that. And all I would say to that is, let's see what happens in the next couple of months. I don't think the Orioles are done. I think there are other starters out there. Every move they've made has been, on paper, an incremental or slightly more than incremental upgrade on last year's team. But I still think the right course of action is see what you have with these young guys, because they're not all going to repeat what they did last year, right? There were a lot of great performances from rookies, from second-year players. Some of them will get better, and some of them will not. That's just the rationale of baseball. Not every young player is going to improve, but I think they're all young enough, and they all have potential enough that I wouldn't want to curb their development. And the last thing I'll say is this. The Orioles can absolutely make the postseason next year. They were close this last year, and they had a lot of young players that will have much more major league experience now. But I don't know that there's a reasonable combination of moves that immediately vaults you to World Series contender, or at least does so without a ton of internal development. And they're counting on internal development anyway.
Sure.
So I still think this is a good chance for a stepping stone year without needing to say, well, we have to go win the World Series this year. You'd like to, but they don't have to. I think being another playoff contending team and hopefully taking that step into the wild card would be enormous. But like at the risk of mortgaging draft picks and signing super long-term deals, I absolutely get it. And I think Mike Elias said it best when he said, look, liftoff is not just about splashing down $1 billion in an off season. I'm paraphrasing, but liftoff is about full organization, continuing to supplement in the draft and through Latin America. People are I think, rightfully very happy with patience they've taken with the young players they brought in. And I would just say, if you believe in that and you like the team last year and you like the young players, believe in the continued build and believe in the patience to let these guys blossom a little bit and to let the next wave get a shot. So I'm an optimist about this stuff by nature, I think, and I that's just my personality. That's not me being, blinded by any sort of, mandate or anything. I just think genuinely there's a lot to be excited about. And would it be great to have Carlos Correa? Sure. Carlos Correa is a great player, but I don't think this all had to happen at once. And this is still a more aggressive offseason than we've seen from them. So it's another step forward. forward without going from 0 to 100.
It's a nuanced discussion, and I appreciate. Obviously, it was a very thorough answer that you gave, Kevin. I appreciate it because I would say that I would acknowledge that I think I have some disappointment because I would like to see, as you point out, particularly one more legitimate, guy that you can count on in the rotation. And I think I think that would have been a reasonable expectation. But I do think the argument that you still have to determine exactly who your core is for winning a championship at some point in the next coming years, I don't think that you're off with that at all. I think there is still, obviously Adley Rutschman you think is part of that core. Obviously Gunnar Henderson you believe is part of that core. I think everybody believes that Grayson Rodriguez is part of that core. But outside of that, who's definitely part of the core of that group? And the names that you brought up, I do still think that there's enough questions about some of those guys that to say, hey, let's try this for one more year and see if we can get some more determined answers about a couple of those guys. I don't think that's a company line. I think that's kind of a legitimate thing that an organization has to feel. We can't throw everybody out all at once. We don't know with certainty yet that Ryan Mountcastle, for example, is definitely part of that group. Maybe a year from now we'll have a far more, significant feeling about the answer to that question.
I think it's about information gathering. It is a hard balance to strike because if you sign a really good starting pitcher, you may squeeze Tyler Wells or Kyle Bradish out of the rotation, and you might be better in the short term. But you might thwart the development Tyler Wells, who was really, really strong in the first half last year,
Sure.
and hit a bit of a wall because of the innings jump, which hopefully he'll be able to get past this year. Or maybe you thwart the development of Kyle Bradish, will be in his second year. Now, the flip side of that is you now rely on more untested arms.
Yep.
Arms without as much experience, and you're going to need a couple of extra starters because I don't think it's reasonable to say you're going to get 170 innings out of Bradish, Wells. Maybe Kramer can get you there, but these are still players without a ton of big league experience that have been moved along very cautiously. So you will need, 7, 9, 12, whatever starters to get through a season. And you have to reasonably have some depth there. I like the idea of still seeing what these guys can provide. And one more year I don't think is too much to ask in the grand scheme of things, but it's viewing the organization in the grand scheme of things versus we want to make the playoffs now, right? And that's the tough balance.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
Maybe this is a different conversation if 2020 is in a 60-game season and everybody's innings aren't so dramatically flashed, by 60, 70% in some cases.
That's a good point.
It almost feels like your pitchers are still digging out of that hole.
Yeah, and no minor league season. I think that's the other part of it, and I'm not going to keep you forever because I know you got a game to get ready for. I'm sorry, man. But the no minor league season in 2020, I still don't think Orioles fans have fully grasped how particularly damaging that was to this organization in comparison to a lot of others around baseball.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think the Orioles were ahead of schedule last year, but I think if you had had a full minor league season and a full season of development in 2020, last year wouldn't have seemed like as seismic a jump. Sort of came out of nowhere because of the truncated 2020. That was our big word in 2020, truncated.
Right.
I think you may need one more year to fully dig out of the lost innings and the lost reps in 2020. And again, I know that's not a super sexy answer, but as you said, and I feel like I've gone long on this, but I appreciate you letting me, because it is nuanced. I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's something that can be solved in a 30-second soundbite. And what I appreciate about this front office is that they consider these things very, very seriously, and they are not as reactionary or as knee-jerk as other front offices in the league are. There's no doubt that spending money in baseball, by and large, makes your team better, but some teams just throw around money and basically say damn the consequences. And I don't think that the Orioles are anywhere near the damn the consequences portion of the program yet. So I certainly understand a little more caution, a little more prudency in that regard, just given where the organization is and given where the age of these players is.
Kevin N. Brown on Twitter is how you follow him. And, of course, this afternoon, 2 o'clock, the Military Bowl. He's definitely going to be calling the game, and if asked, maybe flying the fighter jet ahead of the game. We'll find out if that's what's needed. Hey, man, really appreciate you taking the time for us this morning. Always enjoy our conversations. Enjoy the game. Happy New Year to you. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Thanks, Glenn. Happy New Year, and hope everybody out there had a wonderful holiday season and a Happy New Year to all.
No doubt, man. Thank you, Kevin.
Hope that we'll be seeing some Orioles baseball in the sunshine soon.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait, man. All right, buddy. We'll talk soon. That's Kevin Brown from not only, obviously, Masson, but also ESPN, where he has got the Military Bowl today between Duke and UCF. Today's show is also brought to you by, this one's brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, which is the best place to watch and bet on all of the games. Big weekend ahead, college football playoff semifinals on Saturday. Of course, Ravens Steelers on Sunday. Best place to watch and bet on all of it. And, of course, think about the following weekend. The following weekend's a big one because it's the Gervonta Davis fight. So 1 week from this Saturday night, January 7th, Gervonta Davis fight, and as Leon Twyman was explaining, when Gervonta fights, it becomes a mob scene. I mean, an absolute mob scene in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. So reserve your spot now so you don't show up on the 7th and you say, I can kind of see. I mean, it's a 100-foot media wall. You're going to be able to see it. But you get the point. You'd rather have a nice table, a set of reclining chairs, whatever it is for you and your friends to come out on the 7th. Email events@sportssocialmd.com. I wonder if they're going to be able to do that Ed Reed event now. I wonder how that's going to work.
That'll be interesting.
I mean, I guess he can still do it, right? Yeah. Like, I have no idea how all that goes. I don't know the rules. All right, when we come back in, another double-decker sandwich.
Yeah, one more double-decker.
Carson. We'll do Young Utes.
Sure.
And we'll get our answers for Would You Rather Wednesday. That's next. This is Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Looking for some excitement in the new year? Laurel Park has plenty of live horse racing events to spice things up this January. The much-anticipated winter meet kicks off on January 1st, plus we've got special MLK holiday racing on Monday, January 16th, and the Winter Carnival Stakes on Saturday, January 21st. Winter may be cold, but the racing at Laurel Park is hot. Learn more about upcoming January events by visiting laurelpark.com.
Another Orioles season is in the books, and the Bat-Around was there every step of the way as the Birds posted their first winning season in 6 years. And after promoting 2 #1 overall prospects in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Mike Elias has said it's liftoff from here. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and along with my co-host Zach Goodman, we'll be here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon all off season, discussing every signing, trade, and waiver claim as we navigate the cold winter months that lead to spring training. You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And if you miss a show, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So tune into the Bat-Around with Paul Valley and Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
It's the perfect time to sign the young basketball fan in your life up for a membership in the Retriever Kids Club. It includes free youth admission to all regular season UMBC home games, plus a t-shirt and a drawstring backpack. Membership is only $35. It makes a great gift. Visit umbcretrievers.com/kids club for more info. Membership is available for kids 12 and under in the Retriever Kids Club. Again, umbcretrievers.com/kids club.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
I was telling the boys about the aftermath of the drinking show on Thursday that definitely did involve me. And I feel bad because it is the finest establishment known to man. I did end up puking in the bathroom of the Cheesecake Factory on Thursday. That is in fact, it went like this. So that my family gets here. My kids are running around like a-holes, like maniacs, right? Like they're trying the Bean Boozled beans. Why did I get so many of these? Why?
Did you have them talking into the mics and stuff?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
That was
okay.
still up on the, I'm sure that was
yes,
still
it was
up on
still
the.
up, but there was about
I meant
112
to
hours
save
of
it. I never stopped recording?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I just deleted the whole
I meant
it
to
was
save
112
it
hours.
because it was them and
I might be able to find it.
I don't know. I'm not all that worried about it. We have had them do podcasts in the past. It's because it's hilarious. I mean, it's just wonderful.
You just have them talk to each other?
Yeah, essentially. Well, I actually serve as like the host. So I'll be like, all right, boys, what do you think about whatever? And then they just say nonsense things for a little while, and it's adorable, and people eat it up, right? I tried to do that with them, but my head hurt so bad that I just couldn't. I was not capable of doing it. So I get to the, we decide we're supposed to go see the lights on Thursday. We ended up going last night to see the lights, which doesn't feel, I got to be honest with you, I'm becoming that guy where like I used to be able to enjoy still Christmassy things for the week after Christmas. It's over. It's over. Like I did not have it in me when we got to 34th Street last night. Like I'm all Christmassy ahead of time. Like I'm all in. But last night I got there and I was just like, I am not feeling it at all. We're supposed to go up to Longwood Gardens tonight in Pennsylvania and go see all their.
Oh no, that's a nice place.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's a really
but I'm
nice
worried
place.
because I used to be able to for like 1 week after Christmas. I would still have it in me. Now I'm like everybody else. Like, my wife, I used to yell at her for taking down my wife would start taking down decorations. I'm not kidding. Christmas morning, I would see her kind of looking around like,
that's going to go back in that box.
What could I get down?
I'm pretty good with it for about a week.
I still want the decorations up.
Yeah.
But
I can keep listening to Christmas music.
Yeah,
I'm
Mr. Christmas, but I'm now out. Like, I'm out. And I felt that last night. So we go over to, instead, because it's pouring down rain, we're like, we'll go over have dinner. And I don't know why, but we decided to go to the Cheesecake Factory because again, it is the nice establishment known to man.
It is.
So we go there, and we sit down, and I say, I'm going to need to go to the bathroom. And my son, who had been watching me puke here, again because of the jelly beans.
Right.
That's Dad. It's because of the jelly beans.
They were terrible.
He ate way too many jelly beans.
They tried a few of them, and they understood why it was that I was puking because of the jelly beans. So he wants to go with me because he thinks I'm going to go to puke. And so because they're 7 and 5 years old.
So it's fun.
Let's go.
Exactly right. Like that to them is wildly entertaining. So I'm in the, and I don't know if you've been to the Cheesecake Factory, it's a very nice bathroom. Like they separate with a giant door, the toilet stall. Like it's not a typical stall. Like it's basically its own room, the toilet stall. And I go in, and my sons are just back there with me as I'm hurling into the. So hey, hope you're enjoying your lunch. Speaking of
they'll
hurling,
they'll never forget you did that for them.
Oh, no doubt. Speaking of hurling, we're about to do one more double-decker sandwich here. I feel like as a sportsman, let me do. We're way behind on reads today. You know what doesn't make you hurl? Getting a tray from the Baltimore area Chick-fil-A restaurants.
Yeah.
If you are maybe getting your family together or your friends together for a New Year's Eve gathering, I've told this story a few times. My cousin Justin, who's not actually my cousin, but he shares my last name, and so we've always gone with cousins over the years. It's sort of like, did you watch The Bear? Remember he always referred to, you didn't watch The Bear?
No, I didn't watch The Bear.
Did you watch The Bear?
No.
What the hell is wrong with you? It was like one of the most popular shows of the year.
I know. I heard it's good.
It's great. Well,
list.
he always refers to one particular character as cousin. And it's not until well in that you find out he's not actually his cousin. I don't know, it's a whole thing. That's sort of my deal with my cousin Justin, who's not actually my cousin, but his name is Clark, so we've always gone with it. And one year he showed up to our New Year's gathering, and he said, I'm doing chicken and waffles. And what he had done was get Chick-fil-A nuggets, a nugget tray, and mini waffles. And it was perfect. It was exactly the appetizer, the hors d'oeuvre, the horse devour that you want for a New Year's gathering. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Get a nugget tray from the Baltimore area Chick-fil-A restaurants, pair it with some mini waffles as the perfect chicken and waffles hors d'oeuvre for your New Year's Eve gathering. If you're looking for that simple holiday meal, Chick-fil-A catering with nuggets, mac and cheese, tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app. Bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details. All right, I feel as a sportsman that you should do a little more mayonnaise on the final double-decker.
I can do that.
I feel like you should maybe on the top.
We can make that happen.
Make it like a little, almost like an Oreo mayonnaise cake.
How about an open-faced Oreos?
Yeah, I like that
You're
idea.
thinking you take the top off and put the mayonnaise with the
I kind of
cream.
like the cake
I like
idea. I like the cake.
I feel like that.
I like the open face.
It's a hell of an idea. Oh, God, I don't know how we're making something bad worse, but it definitely makes something bad worse. I feel like just everybody seeing the layers of mayonnaise and Oreo that you're consuming right now as a sportsman. You okay with that, or do you think it needs to be a little bit more?
I want a little bit more.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Carson.
All right.
Griffin didn't lose picks.
That's right.
Like that's the I'm getting a giant jar of mayonnaise dumped on my head.
All right.
All right. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. All right, there you go. You good with that, Griffin?
Delicious.
All right, fine. It's
All right.
Delicious.
fine.
All
It's
right.
fine.
Bon appetit.
Here
Here we go. There you go. Final double-decker
Ooh.
Oreo mayonnaise sandwich.
And more hanging out the lip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good image. That's not a good image. The good news for Carson is he's responsible for making the compilation videos of these things, so he can make sure he can get rid of that part of it. Yeah. Now you're gonna do not take a sip of that Dr. Pepper until you've swallowed it, you son of a bitch. Carson does this for free, by the way. Carson comes in.
If anyone's wondering, I don't get paid to do this.
No, not at all. For the love of the sport is why he does it. Carson didn't need to spend his Christmas vacation this way. He could have been out doing anything. He could be playing video games right now. He asked if he could come in and do this with us for a couple of weeks, and here he is consuming Oreos and mayonnaise.
A lot of respect. A lot of respect.
I respect. I absolutely
And
respect.
for those
the man's
watching
game.
or listening, if you're wondering if it tastes as bad as it sounds, yes. The
I
answer is
can
yes.
only imagine. There's again, as I said, there's a small part of me that wants to know, but then there's the other part of me that's like, nope, I don't want to know. I can live with this. I can live without ever knowing. All right, let's get our answers for Would You Rather Wednesday. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. I did give 4 scenarios today, threw in a little bit of a bonus because 2 of them are really practical topics, so I thought maybe I'd go in another silly one. Number 1, would you rather a football wizard offers you the opportunity to go back and change one thing that happened on the field for the Ravens in calendar 2022, or one thing that happened off the field, and what would it be? Griffin, you can start.
I think we'd go back to January 10th, 2022, and then Greg Roman is fired.
So you're saying that
we
solves
start over the
all
offensive
of their
coordinator.
yeah,
We
solves
get a new
all of their
offense
ills.
the beginning of the year. Yeah, and then know what we're doing. The rest of the way with a new offense.
All right.
So I think that would be it. Or if I had to go the other way, I guess maybe figure out a way to win the Dolphins game. That might, I don't know. I feel like that could change
Not
the
give up
trajectory.
for massive, long touchdowns.
Yeah. So one of those two.
Okay.
But I lean more get rid of Roman at the beginning of the year.
Okay. All right.
As soon as last season ended.
Carson?
I'm gonna go back to I don't know if this is necessarily the best example, but it's a specific thing that I know, like, 'cause obviously I'd love to have the Bills game back or something like that, but one specific instance that I'd like to change, it was in the Giants game, and it was late in the game, and we're on our own 25-yard
You
line.
maybe have Lamar Jackson throw the ball away instead of.
I'm gonna have, instead of trying to throw a check down to Pat Ricard on a 2nd and 8 that was at the line of scrimmage, which would obviously not have picked up the first down. I would have just had him throw the ball
I was
away.
thinking of the fumble where he definitely should have just gotten rid of the ball.
See, I was
instead of holding on to it for forever.
He threw the pick before the fumble, so I'm thinking if he throws that ball away, I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking that we're never even in the situation of where he fumbles.
All right, fair enough.
But the fumble's also a good answer.
My answer, I think, is you don't make the Hollywood Brown trade unless you know you've got another wide receiver. Like that to me is that's
a good one.
In hindsight. And I get it. Tyler Linderbaum looks like a hell of a football player, man. But one, Bradley Bozeman was available for cheap, and I don't know if you've seen, but the Panthers are pretty freaking good at running the ball now that Bradley Bozeman's been inserted into the lineup.
Yep.
So there's that, and the other part of it just being that I value wide receiver over center. Like I get it. You needed somebody to play center. I understand that argument, but I think the answer could have been Bradley Bozeman at a really reasonable price, which is frustrating. And I get it. The Ravens would say we offered him a better deal than the Panthers did, and some people actually believe that that's true, that they offered him a better deal than the Panthers did. But it's what it is in hindsight, and I just would not have have created a scenario where I only had one qualified receiver on the roster. That would have been my answer.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to do that, there's a lot of hindsight you could do. Well, in hindsight, go back and sign Christian Kirk for what he has. We, of course, all made fun of the deal that Christian Kirk got. As it turns out,
he's been really good.
Worth the money. As it turns out, one of the best signings of the offseason was the one we all made fun of. We all laughed at. The Christian Kirk signing.
Was it like 5 years, $75 million?
It was, and we all just for what?
Yeah, I was in shock.
And yet, as it turns out, one of the best moves of the offseason. So, that would be the one. You don't trade away Hollywood Brown unless draft a receiver and then announce that you've traded away Hollywood Brown. Something like that. Something where you have more than one qualified wide receiver on the roster.
Yep, very good. Very good one.
KZ is with you. John Proctor, you should have made the Devontae Adams trade. I hear you. Again, we're living in a world where you could just do anything. I hear you. I think that part of it, and we don't like to acknowledge this, is he and Derek Carr really were that close. It's part of that story that's weird. But, the fact that he wanted to go play with Derek Carr, but he really did. He wanted specifically to play with Derek Carr because they were very close in college at Fresno State. He wanted to be with Derek Carr. I think it would have been tough. It's just not one that I can criticize the Ravens over. I'll criticize them over not making the Stephon Diggs trade. I can't criticize them over the Devontae Adams thing because I don't think that he was available for other teams. I think it was very unique that he wanted to be a Raider, which is, I know, a weird bit, but that was the bit. Troy signing Lamar long term. Yeah, that's maybe the one that should be more of the obvious answer, right? The obvious answer should be just get it done maybe before the Deshaun Watson deal happens, so you're not then tied to fully guaranteed money. Mike brings up on the field, he says, it wouldn't change a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but Tucker breaking his own record and knocking off the Jaguars would have been awesome. I mean, it would have been pretty. It would have been just imagine, imagine if that kick had gone through. The stupidity of that.
That'd be crazy.
The stupidity of it is just another level. All right, continue to get me yours at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. We'll share them all throughout the course of the day. Number 2, Would You Rather Wednesday. Would you rather you're hypothetically scheduled to fly Southwest in January? For example, maybe a pal of yours who's supposed to be taking his kids to Disney in a few weeks. Yay!
And myself.
Oh, yeah? Oh, going back to school?
January, 17th, I think.
Yeah,
so.
I'm right around there. I don't know what day. Whatever Martin Luther King Day is, the day before is when I'm scheduled to fly.
What if we were in the airport at the same time?
We might very well be in the airport at the same time. You're hypothetically scheduled to fly Southwest in early in January. Would you rather hope everything is fixed, or go ahead and start making alternate plans now?
Yeah, I'd start making alternate plans.
By the way, this is the single most legitimate Would You Rather Wednesday question I've ever asked. Because what I'm really doing,
like a real one.
I'm just asking for advice. That's all I'm doing right
and
now.
My family drove to Colorado over the summer, so we don't mind, a nice little road
I'm not
trip.
putting a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old in the car to drive to Florida.
Good
That's
point.
not
Good
happening.
point. Yeah, I don't have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old with me, so it maybe doesn't apply directly to you, but I don't mind a drive. But I guess are the other airlines they have their stuff figured out, or is everyone?
No, it's mostly Southwest for whatever reason. There's a bunch of different things that are involved with this, but apparently it all stems from an issue in Denver with employees kind of walking out, and it just sort of then added in the weather. Everything just kind of snowballed from there.
Nathan Hackett still
oh,
in Denver?
Nathaniel Hackett is responsible for. Oh, you're saying he wasn't able to go?
He hasn't been able to get out
He's
yet?
just been sitting in Denver where everybody hates him. Kenny Amalolo got fired at Navy. He's like, great, I'll be in Hawaii. See you guys. Yeah, we'll talk to you whenever. I don't have to worry about walking in and having people ask me questions. I'll be in Hawaii. See you later. Nathaniel Hackett's just sitting there. Everybody hates him, and he can't get out of the airport. That's not bad, Griffin. Not bad. What about you?
So I've had dreadful experiences with Delta. I've had dreadful experiences with American Airlines.
Look, Drew's
but
point-
Southwest has always been
Drew's
consistent.
point is well taken,
I'm
which
just going to
is,
stick with them.
for the most part, everyone who has flown, as miserable an experience as flying is, and it's one of the worst things in the world.
It is.
If you're going to fly, for the most part, everybody just sort of knows what they're getting with Southwest. When I had a margin of no error whatsoever for getting to Madison for a football game a few weeks ago, when I literally could not have been off by a couple of minutes or I would have missed the game, I trusted that Southwest was going to get me there. Woke up that morning. The rental company tried to F me over. They did that quite well. They did it very well. But Southwest did not. They said what time the flight was. We probably were there 3 minutes before the time we were supposed to be there.
So
I'm gonna trust South. I'll trust
you
Southwest.
stick with it till they fail you personally.
It really does feel that way, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It really does feel like it's almost a personal thing.
Yeah.
Like, well,
It is.
I haven't been screwed by them yet, so.
Until they do.
But this is the problem. Like, our Disney trip is planned to, like, the minute.
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
have a lot of give.
Are
with
you
the Disney
connecting
trip.
somewhere?
No, it's straight to Orlando.
Okay.
But there's just not a lot of give there. Like, we
Right.
fly Sunday morning, and, like, the rest of Sunday, we don't have any plans. But starting Monday morning, like, if you're going to Disney, like, you have your itinerary is set. So if we don't get there by there's no give, there's no flexibility to it. We're missing something that the kids want to do while we go to Disney. So I am legitimately feeling this way. I'm going to have the conversation with my wife this evening. Of course, she's not going to offer anything to this. She's going to be like, I don't know. Great. Okay, I'll figure it out again.
I
No
would
worries.
just stick with them. If it was American,
that's-
I'd say
I
that.
think
Oh,
that's it.
I've been just done terribly
I
dirty
hear
by
you.
American.
I hear you. All right. Nobody's giving me particularly good advice on this one, by the way. Like
Drive, man.
No, like
Come on.
KZ said, as someone who orchestrated the play-at-home version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles yesterday, trust me, plan ahead. Like, I get the people that are dealing with it this week are probably all like very scarred and saying, John Proctor, I have no faith in companies starting to pay decent wages to their low-level employees yet. The problem sounds indicative of something along those lines, therefore likely to linger. Is Amtrak pricing still crazy? I'd take a look. I'm not a train to Florida.
How was a train to
Troy
Florida?
says stick with Southwest. I don't know. I'm getting a bunch of different responses, but nothing.
So no help. No help.
Really no help.
No-
This was-
nothing.
Say drive, man.
nothing
Come
of.
on.
All right. We got to move through these. Number 3. Would you rather have to take a mayo bath or eat 8 Oreos covered in mayonnaise?
Ooh. I don't think I
Would you
wanna
rather be me or
covered in-
Carson?
Yeah,
Is what this
I
is
don't
coming
think
down
I
to.
want to be covered in mayo, man.
Would you rather eat 8 of those mayo?
How long you think you're gonna be feeling those mayo Oreos? Like, that
I'm-
can be like with you the rest of the day. That taste and that feel.
I'd say 3:00.
Oh,
Okay, that's not that
Yeah,
Like
that's
bad.
not bad.
when I leave
Like,
here,
you don't think this is going to impact your ability to have a nice dinner this evening?
No, lunch. It's gonna impact lunch.
Yeah.
But dinner, no. I think I'll be good for dinner.
Okay, all right.
okay.
But
All
I'm
right.
saying that now. Like
Right.
I really don't know because I've never done this before.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because that pepper sandwich, like that.
Yeah,
stuck
that
with me.
stayed with you for a
yeah,
little while.
I would
when
imagine that
I
it did.
ate the bull balls, that was the worst bet that I've had because I'm telling you that one I wasn't right for a couple of days. I still could taste. Like I tried to go have this is the funny thing. Like I could not physically. I ate until I couldn't eat any longer, and then I went and I puked. But I so badly wanted something else in my system so that I wasn't just tasting the bull balls that I stopped at the juice bar in Catonsville. I don't know why I was in Catonsville, but I had to go to Jonathan Ogden's golf tournament that day.
You got
I
to,
stopped
you
at the
got to.
juice bar in Catonsville and got an acai bowl there. And then it almost like ruined acai bowls for me for a little bit. I'm glad it wasn't at my regular juice bar, like because I'm telling you, I was tasting like some combination of bull ball and acai bowl for days. It sucked.
When we did the Bean Boozled last Thursday, so I had the used bandage taste in my mouth
God.
terribly. I went to Geno's and inhaled a Geno Giant and a
Yeah.
vanilla milkshake.
Because the point is, you just want something else.
The aftertaste was still the bandage, man.
that's
Like,
a problem.
They gave me the milkshake first. I'm like, oh, I needed this.
Yeah.
Like, get this taste out of my mouth. I take one sip. The aftertaste is just terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
brutal. All right, we need an answer. We got to go.
I guess I'll go with the Oreos.
All right.
I'd rather that than be
Carson, you
covered in
did it.
mayo.
Are you glad
Yeah.
you did it?
Yeah, I am glad I
Okay,
did because
all
it's
right.
over now.
That's true. It is. That is a good point. I am glad that I'm doing the best. It's more to me. eating 8 Oreos is a bad idea for me. This is more about my health at this point. I don't have to consume any mayonnaise.
Yeah, I don't
at
normally
all.
eat that many cookies. Like
It's going to suck. I'm not going to like it, but after it's done, I'm going to wash it all
wash
off,
it off
and
and you're
it'll be
done.
like it never happened, right? Like that's the way that I am.
It might smell like mayo. And
I might do it, by the way, in the Speedo and
All right, let's go.
bodysuit. I might wear that for this video that we're going to do of me getting the mayo. The funny thing, one of my buddies, Brandon from Ramshead, who's part of Jobbing Out, he's back in the hospital this week, unfortunately, because he has a kickback. He has a cancer that he's dealing with, but he's okay. He had his surgery yesterday, and I thought maybe it would lift his spirits if I let him give me the mayo bath. The problem is I'm not sure, because there is a shower in the bathroom in the hospital, but I'm not sure that they would be thrilled to find out that
mayo.
I'm not sure the hospital.
that some
folks
guy
would
was
do
in
it.
there getting a mayo
Correct.
bath.
Who's not staying
in perfectly
in the
good
hospital.
health.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would go well. And number 4, would you rather have the opportunity to go back and relive yesterday as Luka Doncic or live tomorrow as Pete Davidson?
I'd rather be Luka.
Okay.
I'd rather be Luka.
All right. All right.
That's insane.
Dude. If you're not Luka, come on.
I mean, you are maybe the most noted coxman on the face of the planet.
You're you can be like, oh yeah, I dropped 50 in an NBA game.
But you don't get to be him again tomorrow.
That's fine.
You only get to feel it for the day.
I just want to feel one.
cool.
I want to feel what it feels like to make a 3-pointer in an NBA game. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Just once.
And he made a lot of those.
He did.
Yeah.
He made quite a few of those.
Versus
3-point
Pete,
games.
it's like I don't know.
Bro, you get to spend 24 hours as
Pete Davidson.
basically
I can take it or leave it.
bro.
Compared to Luka?
Carson.
Yeah.
Compared to Luka?
No one's ever gonna do what Luka did ever again.
I understand that, but you don't get to
You
have
could say
that
no
with
one,
you forever.
You could say no one's ever going to do what Pete Davidson did ever again. Just rebound
But for
from
one
Kim
day.
K
Have you
with Emily.
seen? Yeah, Radic.
Rebound from Kim
Yeah.
K with Emily R.
Yeah, you think he had to invite
Rana.
Dixie D'Amelio to go out to the putt-putt place in Westminster? Think? I don't know, man.
I'll be Luka.
Same. Griffin.
The answers are all coming in as Pete Davidson. By the way,
Really?
Mike Golic Jr. did chime in on the Mayo question, and he said if anybody doesn't answer the Oreos, they're insane. So he feels very strongly about the thing that he has given us. That's his art that we have because of him. Continue getting your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter for Would You Rather Wednesday, brought to you by Glory Days Grill. If you have not picked up the new print issue of Press Box, I encourage you to do that right now. Of course, it is our annual Best of issue celebrating the top people, performances, and moments of 2022. And obviously on the cover, a Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year. He is Adley Rutschman. Go get it for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all. PressBoxOnline.com. Can we do a quick version of Young Utes?
Yeah, we can do a quick version.
Right,
But you got to do a quick version of the whistle.
Man, I don't know why it is
That's
that I
pretty
can't.
good. That's
I
fine.
can't
That's
get
what I
in
saw.
that last. It's like I'm right there.
Yeah, I think.
And the sound.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work.
that's okay.
Young Utes brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. That's PressBoxOnline.com/offers, where you can get great offers for signing up for sports betting. And they're not going to last forever, so you want to make sure you get in soon. Some of those offers, $200 in free bets from DraftKings after you place your first $5 bet, $1,000 in risk-free bets from BetMGM. Again, time is limited. PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
All right, number one, a trend on TikTok over the Christmas holiday because a lot of families gather and things like that. A person would act like they're reading something off their phone but secretly be filming the reaction of the whole room with their whole family in it and be like, oh, my God, so-and-so dead at 70 and be some beloved celebrity and film the reaction of their family. Kind of terrible, honestly.
Yes, really awful.
But, there's a ton of them out there, and just whatever celebrity your family loves.
I heard that. I think this started with somebody doing, a comedian or a YouTube personality or somebody did this with Kim Kardashian.
Mm-hmm.
Told his girlfriend that Kim Kardashian was dead, and her response was like, no! And it got a lot of attention.
The one that I saw was, I think it must have been somewhere in Tennessee, and was Dolly Parton, and the family just went nuts.
Well, my God.
Yeah,
that's not okay.
Yeah,
by the way,
the whole trend really is messed up.
Have we no decency? No offense, and I mean this all, dude.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian's done some nice things in her life, and I know she's tried to help with prison reform and all that. Dolly Parton. We don't make jokes about Dolly Parton in this country.
Yeah,
Got
it's
it?
just like
We should have a line.
Yes.
I'm okay with making jokes. And by the way, this is the type of thing that I think we could do somehow with TikTok.
I was gonna.
I
suggest that.
have some ideas. Remind me.
Okay.
Because I also have a good top 3 idea for later today.
Okay.
All right. Next.
All right, number 2. So some sounds on TikTok tend to attract a bunch of videos of the same kind, and there's a sped up version of "I Wish" by Skee-Lo, and
I'm in.
There is a trend of like it's a lot
It's
of
one of my favorite songs. Like when I was a child. Do you have any idea how many times I would just be walking around? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl in the hood. I was like 8 years old. That song came out in like 1991.
It's just extremely catchy. But so there's that song sped up as the sound, and people are doing a. It's a lot of
This is a
moms.
great
I was off by a little bit.
There's a lot
it was
of moms.
95.
There's a lot of
so
moms.
I was 90.
But,
I was 12.
Thought you were 8.
Yeah,
There's
it's fine.
It's just close enough. There's
Yeah.
a lot of moms, but there's some dads too, and it's like dress up. A person will show like their parent as their parent dressed up in whatever they're dressed up in, and then show them dressed up in one of their like going out outfits. So for like a guy, there's like dads.
Do you have an
and moms.
example there that
Yeah,
I
I
can
do.
see? I would
I
like
do.
to see this.
So it's like
I do.
it's mostly like daughters are
Yeah,
like,
it's mainly moms. Like I've seen a couple dads, but
yeah, and they're like, this is what my mom looks like, just in her everyday clothes, and then she's like, this is her in my clothes.
Here we go.
Huh?
Yeah, and
Here we go. Turning my mom into me.
yes, that's what it is.
Oh, well, that mom is particularly attractive. These are all
Well, that's
moms?
what we're finding. Yeah, that's what we're finding out is that.
Yeah, and then there's
So this
like,
is just a way of saying they're hot moms. That's all this is?
there's a lot of daughters like
Big
oh,
fa-
like,
yeah,
I
Jack
could get
Olsen's like, why do you think I'm on TikTok?
he's holding. If you can't see, but he's holding up.
That's
his phone
all
like
the point of
this.
this trend is just putting a bunch of hot moms on the internet?
There's dads too.
Did
Bless
Young,
it.
Did Young Gravy
this
like
is-
start this or?
Well, so Young Gravy.
I'm not.
Is,
I mean, I want to make this very clear because somebody tweeted this before, and I am with them. I have paid attention to a lot of dumb things on the internet. You will not try to get me to care who Young Gravy is. I refuse.
Young Gravy
I
is like
refuse to.
basically he's got this thing for like older women, and so he's active on TikTok, so he's just commenting on all these like like
Every
I
single
mean,
one.
hit me up, tell
Every
your
single
mom.
one.
Look, for what it's worth, I get it. I see the videos. Yes. Check. In favor of this trend. I don't know how we could do anything with it, but I'm in favor of this trend as well. Does this trend have a name?
It's just like dressing my mom like me,
Okay.
or like or really like turning my mom into me.
Okay.
Turning
all
my
right.
dad into me,
All right.
whatever you
All
want to
right.
do.
All right. Very good.
Number 3, so there's been some rumors flying around, and they're official. So about 10 months ago, Jack Harlow releases a song as part of his album titled Dua Lipa, and the opening line
wait,
of
are
that
they-
song is, Dua Lipa, I'm trying to do more with her than do a feature. And now they're dating.
Damn.
Oh, was she really your Dixie?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're officially dating now.
I
There
have-
was like I think rumors of like because all the paparazzi is and stuff. They were like hanging out like getting dinner or whatever. But now they are officially dating.
I'm being as honest as I can be about this. Jack Harlow is 0 for me. His episode of SNL is by far the worst episode I've ever seen in my entire life. I have yet to hear a Jack Harlow song where I thought that guy has something to offer the world. He stinks.
He is really funny though.
No, maybe.
I find him
I've
hilarious.
seen nothing that suggests that. He was horrible. When I say he's the worst
If you
SNL
can't host
host I've ever,
SNL, you're not. You can't.
like
then-
you have
then what's-
nothing
what
to
can you do?
offer society. God, I'm out, and that makes me sad because Dua Lipa's a lovely young woman. So it makes me sad that that's a celebrity power.
I saw this
couple now.
picture of it was Pete Davidson and Jack Harlow sitting next to each other at a basketball game, and the caption was like these guys are wiping out your celebrity crush
Well,
list.
probably
Like,
true, but Pete Davidson
dating
is
all of them.
talented. Pete Davidson is funny. Jack Harlow offers nothing.
He does music.
It stinks.
He plays basketball with Tyler Hero.
Is he good?
Tyler Hero, he did claim that Tyler Hero fixed his jump shot.
Sure. Jack Harlow stinks.
He was pretty good on game day at picking.
He's on a New Balance commercial too.
Good for him. He stinks. He's awful. He offers 0 to society.
He is the odd person out in the New Balance commercial.
Out on that. Hey, gambling can be fun, but you should set a limit and stay within it. And remember, if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. I'm really worked up about Jack Harlow. I've decided
Yeah,
that
you got more fired up about that than
I don't hate anything. I hate Jack Harlow way more than I hate Greg Roman. I make that abundantly clear. I am so – if there's anything I've learned in 2022, because last year if you would have asked me, I would have been neutral. I would have said, I don't care. I hate Jack Harlow now. His music stinks. His SNL was terrible. I am out. He's doing White Man Can't Jump, right? They're doing a remake of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be the worst motion picture in the history of humanity.
Guess we'll see.
Tidbit 2 to wrap up the show. Glenn Clark Radio.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Looking for some excitement in the new year? Laurel Park has plenty of live horse racing events to spice things up this January. The much-anticipated Winter Meet kicks off on January 1st, plus we've got special MLK Holiday Racing on Monday, January 16th, and the Winter Carnival Stakes on Saturday, January 21st. Winter may be cold, but the racing at Laurel Park is hot. Learn more about upcoming January events by visiting laurelpark.com.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The weather outside is really unpleasant, so it's time to warm up with some comfort classics this winter at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Try the Twisted Ribs and Wings combo. It's 2 full pounds of meat, the mac and cheese bites, Mr. Richards meatloaf, the citrus salmon, the winter spinach salad, and for dessert, here's internet radio personality Griffin Bass to tell you about the bourbon butter cake.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Pair it with a blood orange bourbon cider or a devil's backbone cranberry smash. Place your order now at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Looking for a simple holiday meal? Try Chick-fil-A Catering. From Chick-fil-A nuggets to mac and cheese, enjoy a variety of tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app and bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details.
Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show, too.
All right, we're winding down for a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of GCR, brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Quick reminder, Stan the Fan is off this week for the holiday week. He'll be back next week with 2 new shows for you and throughout 2023. Tidbit is brought to you today by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Another Brock Purdy stat that I think NFL Network tweeted out yesterday yesterday it was that he's 3-0 in multiple passing touchdowns in his first 3 starts, along with Kurt Warner. One other player that he now has had multiple passing touchdowns and a 100-plus passer rating in their first 3 career starts. It is Brock Purdy and...
I mean, it's obviously somebody good. Yeah. Joe Montana.
Not Joe Montana.
Peyton Manning.
Not Peyton Manning.
He didn't have it.
Just... Can I tell you?
Terry Bradshaw.
Not Terry.
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Dan Marino. So he is in the company with Dan Marino and Kurt Warner.
It's not bad.
Marino's always the one that we forget in these little tidbits.
I actually normally remember to throw in
But it's
Marino,
always like
yeah.
at the end. That
No,
we'll
Steve
throw
Young
in.
is always the one that I get screwed up with.
He's
but
always one of my first
He doesn't
guesses.
count as a rookie because Steve Young didn't play
Right,
as a rookie.
'cause
Right.
So Luka, obviously, the incredible game, the first and only 60-20-10 game
Unbelievable.
ever.
It's just
It's
unbelievable.
ridiculous.
NBA history. He also became the
Wilt Chamberlain. Whatever the question is, the answer is Wilt Chamberlain.
well, yeah, you're right.
I know.
He's
I know.
also the 7th player of all time with a 50-point triple-double. So I wanted to see if you can name the other 6. Of
Wilt
course,
Chamberlain,
of
for
course,
sure.
Wilt Chamberlain
And
is on the
Russell
list.
Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook is
I
one
do
of them.
remember that.
James Harden.
James Harden is one of them.
Hang on. Wilt, Harden, Westbrook. Those are actually...
Yeah. Harden had 5, which is the most. He's had 5 50-point
Dang.
triple-doubles. Westbrook has 3, which is the second most.
And we're looking for 3 more guys?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Wilt Chamberlain did it twice. Luka once last night.
I wanted
more
so
fellas.
this is a funny thing. I don't remember this being referenced last night because the 60-point thing was so nuts. But I remember, I want to say that Kyle did this as a question when Westbrook did it, and I feel like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was an answer.
He was.
I
Kareem
feel like-
Abdul-Jabbar
Okay, what
had
about
a 50-point triple?
what about Oscar Robertson? Just for the
No.
triple
Oh
double?
God, no doubt, he's like Mr. Triple Double.
It is not Oscar Robertson.
Okay.
LeBron.
Not LeBron.
Jokic.
Not Jokic. They are both
Dang.
very old players. They've
Oh, good.
from the
George Mikan.
60s. Not George Mikan.
Elgin Baylor.
Elgin Baylor
Nice one.
is one of them. He did it twice as well.
What about Dolph Shays?
Not Dolph Shays.
Jerry West.
Not Jerry West. This guy was a Nick.
Dave DeBusschere.
Yeah, that's not a bad. Look at you, Dave DeBusschere.
Not
Nice
the,
call.
not the Busher.
Bill Bradley.
No.
That's a good one.
He was a Nick and then a St. Louis Hawk.
Willis Reed.
No.
No, that's. Oh,
I mean, no, these are. But you are coming up with Knicks. Walt Clyde Frazier.
Not Walt Clyde Frazier.
I don't think it's Earl the Pearl
Yeah,
Monroe.
that was gonna be the
No.
next guy I was gonna say.
Oh, how long are we going to be here? It's 12:22.
He'd probably be here for a while.
Oh,
He was a
all
St. Louis Hawk before they moved to Atlanta, and he was drafted by the Knicks. It is Richie Guerin.
I don't know who that is.
I'm not
I have
sure.
no
I'm not
idea
sure
who
that I
that
know
is.
who that is.
I've never heard of that person.
Well,
in
he
my
had a
life.
50-point
Good
triple-double
for him
in
Yeah,
his
right.
career.
Good-
and he
good
is
for
on this
that.
list.
Good
And
for
now
him.
he gets to be compared. It's like when Matt Stover came on with us, and like I'm glad that Justin Tucker broke my record because now I get to be mentioned in the same sentence as Justin Tucker forever. Now he gets to be mentioned in the same sentence as Luka Doncic.
Yes. And then also, so he broke the record by Wilt. Wilt was previously the youngest player to have a 50-point triple-double at 26 years old, and now Luka is 23 and obviously did it.
Good for Luka. I mean, that was unbelievable. I mean, it was truly unbelievable. My God. All right, very good. Tidbit was also brought to you today by the Baltimore County Police Department. Again, entry-level police officers start at $60,686. Lateral police officers start at $64,000, and cadets start at $32,611 with a $10,000 bonus for entry-level and lateral police officers. They are hiring for the 2023 Academy classes. So go right now to join Baltimore County PD. So many other great bonuses, but really just think about some of these incentives. Think about maybe a 25-year retirement at 60% with 3% every year thereafter, up to 100%. Medical, dental, vision insurance. Promotional opportunities, career advancement to over 20 specialized units. A lot of great benefits available if you join the Baltimore County Police Department. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com. Tubular is brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Of course, GinsuGrills.com is the website. Use the code TAILGATE. Save $100. Here's what's coming up. As we mentioned, the Military Bowl kicks off the day's bowl action. Down in Annapolis, it's UCF and Duke, 2 o'clock on ESPN, followed by the Liberty Bowl, Kansas and Arkansas at 5, the Texas Bowl, Texas Tech, Ole Miss at 9. Fox has the Holiday Bowl, which is a good one. Aaron Oster was talking about that yesterday. Bo Nix versus Drake May in the Holiday Bowl, 8 o'clock between Oregon and North Carolina out in the baseball stadium in San Diego.
Ole Miss is coming out on top.
Oh, right. This is a big one. Yeah, tonight against Texas Tech.
I do like the Red Raiders, but
Did you have the option to go, work the game or anything like that? Did you have
no,
the
I
option?
did. So the guy who had, if we would have gotten a New Year's Six Bowl, I would have, because the guy who had my job last year got to be on the sideline at the Sugar Bowl, which
That's
was
pretty
like
cool.
that was
That's
really
pretty cool. That's
so I was kind of hoping we'd make a big bowl so I could go, but they were like, it's not even.
By the way, terrible news yesterday. Sam Hartman transferring to Notre Dame. I hate that so much. As a confirmed Notre Dame hater, that is just terrible news because he's a hell of a quarterback.
You're either on one side or the other.
No, there is no middle ground there. Like, I want them to lose all
like
the
the
time.
Yankees.
Oh, God, it drove me nuts. Hated that news. Also, we didn't, I don't know why, but I think it happened during the show. We didn't really react at all to the J.J. Watt retirement.
Yeah,
yesterday.
or I think, was it right
It came out of
after?
nowhere.
It was right
I think it was during the betting show, so that's the reason why we
okay.
didn't do it. It just came out of nowhere. Obviously, J.J. Watt's kind of,
Oh, I had a tidbit on him, I thought.
like, his career, it was so insane, and the number of injuries that he had to deal with, that it was very hard to live up to. My God, what a force. What an
He was one of
impact
3
player.
players to win 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards with Aaron Donald
Monster.
and there it is, Lawrence Taylor.
And he won a
Pretty
man
good company.
He won a Man of the Year, didn't he? I think he did.
I believe he did.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe. Well, he
a
did
great, a great guy.
in the
and-
aftermath of the hurricane in Houston.
Mhm.
He was obviously
Yeah.
very impactful. So what a career for J.J. Watt. ESPN Plus tonight, Coppin State's at Richmond at 7 o'clock. Some good hoops on FS1. Villanova UConn at 6:30. Xavier St. John's at 9. ESPN2's got Florida Auburn at 7. Arkansas LSU at 9 as we get into conference play around the country. All the other hoops, go to glennclarkradio.com and find it there. Suns Wizards at 7 on NBC Sports Washington. I do get to watch my team tonight,
I'll be there.
which I like.
I'll be
Oh, you're
there.
going?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Oh, really? Good.
I'm going to see the lights. I guess I don't even really get because I'm going to see the lights.
Maybe
along
I'll
with
see a Luka
Gardens.
performance or something from somebody.
From who?
I
Is
don't
Devin
know.
Booker playing?
Probably not. They played last night, so probably not.
Did he play last night?
I think so, yeah.
I don't even know. That's how. What a fan I am.
I know.
don't even know.
Maybe Kristaps
I watched on
Porzingis will
Christmas
drop
and
60.
then maybe he will.
Wizards won last night. Beat the Sixers.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Break them up.
Yeah.
Break them up all of a sudden. Lakers Heat at 7:30 NBA TV. Nuggets Kings at 10 on NBA TV. TNT Bruins Devils at 7:30. Flames Kraken at 10. And the USA Network for Leeds United and Man City at 3. TBS for AEW Dynamite at 8. Anything non-sports-wise?
Well, Hard Knocks in season is still going with the Cardinals, so probably big Trace McSorley episode, maybe some J.J. Watt on there. Encanto at the Hollywood Bowl special is on Disney Plus.
Don't let my kids find out about that.
No, it's on there.
My
Don't
son and
open
I,
Disney
when we were
Plus.
on the cruise this summer, my son and I, on the last night of the cruise, they were showing Encanto, and
Great.
we were both sitting there crying. Like, we were both, oh, the real magic is the love for her family. Oh, God.
It's the 45th annual Kennedy Center honors.
Who was honored this year? I forgot, because I saw some of the, like, this is pre-recorded.
Yeah, I know George Clooney's going to be there.
But they normally have,
Gladys
like,
Knight.
Yeah, Gladys Knight.
Yeah.
Absolutely was
Yeah.
this year, yeah.
And The Wheel, of course, on NBC. It's going to be Kate Flannery.
You're all in on the wheel.
Kate Flannery
from The Office, yeah.
Lonnie Love, Andy Richter as well.
You were all in on the Bricktacular.
Yeah, the
too.
Bricktacular and
The
the
only
wheel.
thing- that was the only thing on
Well, there
last
was actually other things going on. You didn't have to include the wheel. You chose to do that
Well,
at this point.
I mean, now I'm looking up what the celebrity guests are. I'm like, all right, well, I got to share this.
If you say
if
so.
I'm looking at this.
If
Kate
you say
Flannery.
so. I like Kate Flannery. Doesn't she do an Office podcast now?
Are they still doing it?
I want to say
know-
her and Angela Kinsey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're doing an Office podcast. Brian Baumgartner, by the way, one of my favorite guests over the years that we had on the show. That guy is a 10. I love that dude. I think he also was doing like a competing podcast for a little while.
You had
I wanna
Stan
say.
Lee on, and
Oh, my God.
This-
yeah,
today's
it's
his birthday. What a
Ryan
big
Shell
birthday.
said. Well,
Yeah.
it's not just that I had him on. I've played the clip a few times. The greatest moment of my life was at the end of the interview. Oh, hang on. I could share it. Today would have been Stan Lee's 100th birthday. It's a good way to end the show because it not only does it talk about Stan Lee, but it works for my ego as well. So I got to see if I can find it. And then we don't have a lot of time. We got to wrap up because I got things to do. The greatest moment of my life was how the interview ended. All right, is that it for Totally Tubular?
yes, that is it.
All right, Totally Tubular was also brought to you today by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Again, get there right now. They will not last forever. PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Get there immediately.
Needed to last through like January 14th because that's my brother's 21st birthday.
Oh,
he's
so
had
he's been
PressBoxOnline.com/offers
waiting.
open
He's been
until-
waiting for
yes,
this moment.
Yes.
All right, hang on. Pull up your email. I'm going to
Okay.
I'm going to email you a link to this clip, and we can. It's the greatest clip of literally my entire life. Thanks today to Mike Golic. Thanks also to Kevin Brown, as well as to Drew. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. Baltimore's own Melissa Stark will return to the show tomorrow. Of course, Ravens Steelers on NBC on Sunday night. She is the sideline reporter for Sunday Night Football. And
Matt Williamson.
Matt Williamson will join us to preview the Steelers and stuff and things.
Stuff and things.
Stuff
Ken
and
Zales.
things. Oh, right. Is he
Yeah.
coming in studio?
He should be, yeah.
All right.
I'll make sure
We'll do
I-
picks with KZ in studio. And then I will not be able to do the thing, but it's what it is. Oh, Tim from Bel Air sent me a heinous. Tim from Bel Air apparently has been glued to Barmageddon and sent me an idea for the next side bet that we'll run by everybody for tomorrow. Make sure you get Carson's picks since he's.
Okay.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Golf.
This a-hole's golfing. We're off Friday, so.
Yeah, all right.
I've
had plans to golf for a while.
Carson, you're doing this for. It's fine. I'm just busting your balls. Chill. It's fine.
I did kind of for like a
Don't-
half a
you
second.
don't
I
feel
felt
remotely
bad.
bad.
Just a little. I
Don't
felt a
feel
little bad for like a
remotely
half a
bad.
second.
We're not. I paid you in bean
And then I
boozled.
did.
We made you eat Oreos. with
Yeah,
mayonnaise.
correct. All right. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Problem Gambling, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas and the Maryland Jockey Club, Baltimore area Chick-fil-A restaurants, Great Eights memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, UMBC Athletics, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Carson at Carson Ware is how you follow him on Twitter and
everywhere. And if you real quick, I think it's C2 is the parking lot section. If you want to be there, I'm going to be at the Ravens game on Sunday. If you want to answer some questions for the
we're
press
doing
box
some
thing,
fun TikTok.
yeah. If you want, I
content.
think it's C2 section of the tailgate.
All right.
If you want to come answer some questions,
Love
I'll
it.
be there.
Love it. I love that. All right. Very good. At Griffin_Bass for him. At Glenn Clark Radio for us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Coppin State hoops. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. In honor of Stan Lee's 100th birthday and because legitimately it was the greatest moment of my life, this is how we end today's show.
Is the man. Stan Lee now joins us here on WNST.
Thanks, Ed. You're a hell of a good interviewer. I enjoyed talking
I
to you.
appreciate that, Stan. Thank you. Isolate that. Send it to literally everyone I know. Stan Lee just said to me, I was a good interviewer.